Opening. You don't rise by reacting to everything. You rise by mastering your response. The world rewards the loud, but it's ruled by the calm. Every distraction, every insult, every storm in your life is a test of emotional control. A test most people fail because they respond too quickly, too emotionally, too loudly. Being unbothered isn't about not caring. It's about caring strategically. It's about mastering silence as strength, stillness as power, and composure as your ultimate weapon. Today, you'll learn the mental discipline of emotional sovereignty. The ability to protect your energy, choose your battles, and move through the world untouchable. Chapter 1. Stop reacting. Start responding. You've spent most of your life reacting. Someone says something that pokes your ego, you snap back. Someone ignores you, you assume the worst. Plans fall apart, you panic, you spiral. And every time you react like that, you hand your power away. It's subtle. It's fast. One emotional outburst at a time, you lose control of your life. That's what most people never realize. Control isn't about controlling things. It's about controlling yourself. Being unbothered starts here, in mastering the gap between what happens and how you handle it. That tiny space, the space between stimulus and response, is where strength is built or destroyed. You already know how it feels when you fail that test. The heat in your chest, the words you regret, the decisions you made in seconds that took years to undo. Reaction is emotional reflex. Response is conscious strategy. That's the difference between chaos and composure, between being triggered and being in charge. And the difference is everything. Here's the truth. You can't stop life from testing you. You can't stop people from pushing buttons, crossing lines, or throwing shade. But you can stop giving them what they want, your immediate emotion. Every time you react instantly, someone else wins. They get what they wanted, your attention, your energy, your center. When you pause, they lose. The pause is power. The breath before you speak. The silence before you respond. That's where your control returns. That's where composure becomes your weapon. You have to start practicing that pause deliberately, not occasionally, daily. Every time something irritates you, that's a training opportunity. A rude comment? Pause. Traffic jam? Pause. Unexpected setback? Pause. Don't fill the silence with emotion. Fill it with thought. Say it to yourself often. I don't react. I decide. Asterisk, asterisk. You decide what deserves your energy. You decide how much access people get to your emotions. That's not arrogance, that's mastery. You are training your nervous system to delay chaos, to process calmly, to command your energy instead of scattering it. Let's make one thing clear. Calm doesn't mean weak. Calm means precise. Calm means calculating. Calm means you know exactly what's happening, and you're not giving anyone the satisfaction of watching you fall apart. Most people confuse noise with power. They think loud means confident. It doesn't. It means desperate. Controlled energy, the kind that doesn't react on impulse. That's the energy that builds empires, closes deals, and commands respect. You'll notice that strong people rarely react quickly. They don't rush to argue. They don't rush to defend themselves. They don't rush to explain. They take their time because they understand power lives in patience. Power lives in your ability to choose. When you start mastering your emotional pace, you stop being predictable. And unpredictable people are powerful. You become unreadable, unshakable. People don't know what rattles you because nothing does. You've moved from reflex to response, from chaos to clarity. You have a choice in every moment to match their chaos or maintain your calm. Choose calm, because when you are calm, you are dangerous. You're going to be tested. Let's not sugarcoat that. The second you decide to change, the world will send you a test. It won't be easy. It won't feel fair. Someone will talk down to you. Someone will misunderstand you. Someone will try to pull you back to your old habits. You have a choice. You can prove them right by reacting, or you can prove yourself right by responding. You can waste your peace fighting small battles, or you can conserve your energy for real wars. That's the key. Protect your emotional ammunition. Don't shoot all your bullets on minor skirmishes. Save your calm for things that actually matter. Most of the noise around you is irrelevant. It only becomes powerful when you feed it attention. Repeat this. My calm is not a debate. Once you understand that, you stop arguing with noise. Let's talk about discipline. Emotional discipline isn't glamorous. It's not about walking away from every challenge. It's about staying still long enough to see what the challenge is teaching you. If you explode at everything, you learn nothing. If you pause, you see everything. Sometimes silence exposes more than words ever could. Sometimes restraint shakes people harder than anger. Sometimes walking away is the loudest thing you can do. Remember, responding means you act with purpose. Reacting means you act from pain. One builds you, the other breaks you. Now, this takes practice. You won't master it overnight. That's fine. This is mental resistance training. Start small. Next time someone irritates you, pause for 3 seconds. Next time you receive bad news, breathe. Next time your plans fall apart, ask, asterisk, what's the most strategic next step? Asterisk, you're rewiring your brain. You're turning delayed reaction into dominance. You're creating emotional stamina. And here's the reinforcement truth you have to remember. This doesn't make you soft. It makes you effective. It makes you untouchable. That's what being unbothered truly means. Not that nothing touches you, but that nothing controls you. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need approval to disengage. You don't owe anyone your emotional energy. Your calm is earned, not granted. Guard it. When you start enforcing that boundary, you'll feel resistance. People who used to manipulate your reactions will notice they've lost access. They'll call you distant, emotionless, cold. Ignore it. They're describing what it feels like when they lose control over you. Repeat. Their opinion isn't my instruction. Now, imagine what your life looks like 6 months from now when you've mastered this. Less arguing, less apologizing, more mental clarity, more focus. You stop running on emotion and start running on purpose. You start seeing chaos for what it is, noise. And because you're no longer feeding it, it fades. Everything slows down. Decisions become cleaner. Your tone changes. Your presence grows heavier, stronger. People don't understand it, they just feel it. That's real power. And it started with one small decision. The choice to stop reacting and start responding. Here's how you reinforce this mindset daily. Every morning, set one intention. Asterisk, I decide what disturbs my peace. Asterisk, throughout your day, pause. Notice how many things try to pull you emotionally. When tempted to react, visualize that gap, that sacred space between what happened and your response. Fill it with calm, not chaos. You do this enough times, and calm becomes your default. Eventually, you don't have to try to be unbothered, you just are. It becomes your baseline, your normal, your natural state. That's mastery. That's emotional adulthood. If someone insults you, pause. If traffic backs up, pause. If your goals take longer than expected, pause. Why? Because your calm costs too much to waste on cheap reactions. The world wants access to that calm, to pull it out of you through frustration. Don't let it. Guard it with silence. Guard it with breath. Guard it with self-respect. In every stressful moment, remind yourself, I don't react. I decide. You decide what gets to stay in your mind. You decide what deserves your time. You decide what's worth fighting for. Every pause builds strength. Every silence builds power. Every calm decision builds the fortress that nothing external can shake. Remember this truth as you move forward. You can't control every situation. You can't control every person. But you can always control your reaction. That's not a cliche, that's freedom. Because when you control your reaction, you control your reality. You are no longer a puppet pulled by emotions or opinions. You are the puppeteer. You pull the strings now. That's what unbothered looks like. Not detached, not emotionless, but deliberate. Every move intentional, every word measured, every decision calm. Stop reacting. Start responding. That's how you step into your power. That's how you become unshakable. And when you master this, everything after it becomes easier because you start controlling the battlefield from within. Next, we'll go deeper into protecting your peace, keeping the energy you just fought to reclaim. Because calm isn't just a moment, it's a lifestyle. Chapter 2. Control your energy like it's currency. Look around you. Everyone is tired. Not because life is too hard, but because they're spending their energy carelessly. They throw it away on noise, on nonsense, on emotional debts that never get repaid. They scroll, they argue, they stress over things they can't control, and then wonder why they have no strength left for what matters. Your energy is currency. It's the most valuable thing you own. And if you don't learn to budget it, the world will steal it from you one reaction at a time. If emotional control was money, most people would be bankrupt by noon. They wake up with a full tank of peace, and then drain it by breakfast reacting to someone online, gossip from a coworker, or a bad driver in traffic. They're broke by lunch because they've been overreacting all morning. That's the truth. Energy leakage happens through emotion, not through effort. Effort strengthens you. Emotion drains you. You can work 12 hours chasing your dream and feel powerful at the end of the day. You can argue for 5 minutes and feel empty. That's how expensive emotional reaction is. Here's the first rule. Write this down, burn it into your brain. Not everyone deserves your energy. Peace is earned access. You don't hand it out like free samples to anyone who wants to waste your time. You decide who and what gets a response. Every conversation, every conflict, every thought costs energy. If it doesn't multiply your focus, it depletes it. If it doesn't build you, it breaks you. That's the exchange rate. You wouldn't hand your credit card to a stranger. So why are you giving your emotional energy to people who haven't earned that trust? This is emotional economics. You must budget yourself like a high-value asset because that's what you are. Start with awareness. Ask yourself, where do I spend my energy the most? Is it on purpose or out of habit? Most energy drains come from two things: emotional overcommitment and mental clutter. You say yes when you mean no. You engage in drama you could have ignored. You try to prove your worth instead of protecting your peace. That's an energy deficit, borrowing focus for nothing in return. It's the same as swiping your emotional credit card for meaningless purchases. The debt builds. The peace disappears. You don't need to say yes to every conversation. You don't need to be available every second. You don't need to explain every boundary. You have a choice. That's the power you've had all along. Say it. My energy is expensive, not everyone can afford it. That's not arrogance. That's stewardship. You're finally treating your inner world like the precious resource it is. Now let's get real. Energy leaks happen every day, through tiny cracks you don't even notice. Here's how it looks. Do you check your phone the moment you wake up? Instant flood of external chaos. Do you read a message that offends you? Now your peace belongs to someone else. You replay an argument in your head 6 times, reliving pain you could have dropped. And just like that, you've spent half your energy before the day even starts. The mind loves to wander into emotional overdraft. It loves to chase closure, validation, or control. But none of that produces energy, it only consumes it. Calm is your savings account. Reaction is your debt. And every time you choose calm, you're growing interest in your peace. That's the key. You might think ignoring things makes you weak. It doesn't. It makes you strategic. It means you decide where your resources go. The strongest people aren't the ones who fight every battle. They're the ones who choose them wisely. You look at the noise, you evaluate the cost, and you ask, is this worth my energy budget? Most of the time, the answer is no. So don't spend it. Every fight avoided is fuel for something greater. Every silence kept is focus redirected. Every calm decision is a deposit into your mental wealth. Rich minds stay calm. Broke minds chase validation. Say it again, my energy is expensive. You have to start building boundaries like an accountant with a spreadsheet. Cold, precise, impersonal. Not because you lack empathy, because you value impact. Every text doesn't require a reply. Every insult doesn't need a defense. Every crisis isn't your problem. Protecting your peace doesn't mean hiding. It means managing access. Not everyone earns entry to your mental space. You choose who gets your time. You choose who gets your energy. You choose who gets silence and who gets presence. Stop feeling guilty for protecting your own power. That's maturity. That's self-respect. You don't need their permission to be selective. You don't owe anyone emotional labor who hasn't invested in your well-being. This is how you start creating energetic ROI, return on investment. Only put energy where it grows something real. Now, let's talk about emotional budgeting in practice. There are 3 main categories where you spend energy: reaction, creation, and restoration. Reaction is everything you give away emotionally. Creation is everything you build intentionally. Restoration is everything you do to refuel. If reaction leads your schedule, you'll always feel exhausted. When creation and restoration lead, you'll feel powerful. That's why peace and creativity are connected, because focus fuels output. As your energy stabilizes, your life balances. The reactive mind is like someone constantly paying bills with no income. The quiet mind invests, it knows how to generate more peace. That's the discipline you need. Energy control isn't about doing less, it's about doing smarter. Cut what leaks, double what strengthens. Protect your bandwidth from nonsense. When your emotions are stable, your potential doubles. You're going to have to say this to yourself 100 times. It's okay to disconnect. You can turn off your phone without guilt. You can walk away from gossip. You can choose peace over participation. You are not obligated to give energy to people who thrive on chaos. They feed on your reaction. Don't feed them. Sometimes walking away isn't avoidance. It's preservation. When they can't trigger you, they can't trap you. When they can't drain you, they lose power. That's how emotional dominance works. The calm always controls the dynamic. Always. Remember, the loudest person in the room is rarely in charge. The calm one is. The one observing. The one conserving energy. The one choosing silence. That's you now. That's who you're becoming. Now let's address guilt, because it will show up the moment you set limits. When you start protecting your energy, emotional takers will accuse you of being selfish. That's fine. Let them. It's not selfish to stop bleeding peace for people who never refill you. It's wisdom. You can care and still have boundaries. You can be kind and still be unavailable. You can love people and still limit their access. Boundaries aren't rejection, they're calibration. They ensure the energy you give is aligned with your purpose, not wasted on distraction. You have to stop trying to rescue everyone. You have to stop trying to fix every situation. You have to stop trying to prove your goodness through exhaustion. You don't owe your depletion to anyone. You have a choice. Either you protect your energy now or you burn out later. That's the cost. When you wake up tomorrow, see your peace as your paycheck. And every decision you make spends it or saves it. Scrolling for hours? Spending. Arguing online? Spending. Working on your craft in silence? Saving. Resting your mind? Collecting interest. Every choice has a balance sheet. Every reaction has a price tag. Start auditing your day like an energetic accountant. Look at each habit and ask, asterisk, does this drain me or train me? Asterisk. If it drains, cut it. If it trains, keep investing. Because once you eliminate drains, you create space for discipline. And that sets up the foundation for what comes next. Calm productivity, working without emotional noise. Here's your daily mantra. Say it until it becomes instinct. My energy is expensive. Not everyone can afford it. Asterisk, asterisk. Repeat it when someone demands more from you than they give. Repeat it when you catch yourself spiraling into unnecessary stress. Repeat it when you feel the pull to react. Because every time you say it, you remind your mind that you are valuable. You are selective. You are in control. The quiet mind invests energy. The reactive one spends it. You already know which side wins. So stop giving away energy like pocket change. Save it. Guard it. Grow it. Because the next stage of your evolution, the unshakable discipline that builds success, depends on it. And that's exactly where we're going next. How to control emotion through discipline. How to train your calm daily until peace becomes your default mode. But it starts here, with emotional budgeting. with stewardship over your power, with the courage to say, I have limits. I value me, That's not just self-help. That's self-respect. And that's the key. Chapter 3, detach from approval. You want peace? Stop needing people to clap for you. Stop building your life around applause. Because every time you live for approval, you surrender control. You give the crowd the keys to your self-worth. You can't be unbothered if you're addicted to being liked. That's the simple truth. You cannot walk strong while constantly looking sideways, checking who's watching, who's nodding, who's supporting. You have a choice. You can live for their validation, or you can live by your values. You can chase the applause, or you can chase progress. That's the difference between distraction and direction. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Craving approval is emotional dependency. It's an invisible leash. You might think you're in control, but in reality, every compliment pulls you forward and every criticism drags you back. That's not freedom, that's emotional slavery under a smiling mask. You can't build real strength when other people's opinions are your fuel. Because the second they stop praising you, you collapse. You know that feeling, when someone disapproves of your boundaries, or when silence replaces attention, and suddenly you question your worth. That's what emotional dependency feels like. It's the withdrawal symptom of external validation. And that's why we break it right here, right now. You need to repeat this until it sticks in your subconscious. Approval is optional. Progress is essential. You are not a product for consumption. You're a person in evolution. The likes, the compliments, the applause, they don't define your worth. They're feedback, not foundation. If you keep needing validation, you'll never move in faith. You'll always wait too long to take the next step, because you're waiting for permission that will never truly come. You do not need permission to grow. You do not need permission to be misunderstood. You do not need permission to walk away from people who only cheer when it benefits them. That's the path to becoming unbothered. Living from alignment, not from applause. Ask yourself this. Who are you when no one claps? When no one approves? When no one sees what you're building? That's where true character shows up. Because public confidence means nothing if your private faith is fragile. It's easy to believe in yourself when everyone tells you you're great. It's another level when you believe it in silence. You have to reach a place where your approval comes from doing the right thing, not the loudest thing. Where your peace is found in progress that no one might notice, at least for now. Real confidence doesn't make announcements. It works quietly, with conviction. That's the kind of confidence we're building here. Let's call it what it is. Your addiction to approval is fear in disguise. Fear of rejection. Fear of judgment. Fear of being alone. Approval seekers aren't bad people, they're scared people. Scared of standing on their own stance. Scared of silence. Scared of being enough without validation. But you are enough. You always were. The approval of others doesn't make you better. It only confirms what you forgot to believe. Every action you take should come from internal clarity, not audience reaction. Clarity over applause. That's the key. Think about it. Every visionary, every great builder, every transformative leader, they were misunderstood at some point. They were doubted, criticized, mocked, ignored, but they kept going anyway because they weren't building for temporary validation. They were building for something higher. You cannot grow if you keep stopping to explain yourself. You cannot lead if you keep asking for permission to stand up. You cannot evolve if you keep pandering to comfort zones. Stop auditioning for acceptance. Start acting from alignment. Because truth is, the more you need to be liked, the easier you are to manipulate. Here's your challenge: withdraw from the need for validation like it's emotional rehab. Because that's what it is. You've been high on approval for too long. Now it's time to detox. You'll feel the withdrawal. You'll feel the urge to over-explain. You'll want to soften your truth so others don't feel uncomfortable. But every time you hold your peace and stay aligned, something magical happens. Your self-trust grows. Each moment you choose integrity over image, your inner voice gets louder. Each time you say no to fake validation, your confidence compounds. You become the source of approval you were always chasing externally. That's independence. Repeat this again. Approval is optional. Progress is essential. Asterisk asterisk. Say it until your fear loses its grip. Let's talk about progress for a second, because people confuse it with popularity. Progress often looks boring. Progress looks quiet. Progress looks misunderstood. While everyone else is chasing reactions, you're working on results. While everyone else is comparing, you're creating. While they perform, you produce. That's what happens when you detach from approval. You reclaim focus. You redirect energy. You stop scattering your attention across everyone else's opinions. Freedom is not caring whether they understand you. It's trusting that your path will make sense when the results are visible. And until then, you walk anyway, because you have a choice. Be liked now or respected later. Choose wisely. Let me say this as straight as possible. You cannot please people and lead yourself at the same time. They will pull you in every direction. They will set expectations you can never meet. They will project their insecurities onto your mission. And the more you bend, the more they'll expect you to keep bending. Stop performing in a circus of opinions. You're not here to entertain. You're here to evolve. You don't need applause to move forward. You don't need an audience to confirm your decision. You don't need acceptance to start over. You need alignment with your purpose, your growth, your truth. Let's ground this with action. Here's your first discipline. Silence your validation triggers. Every time you catch yourself checking for reactions, pause. Don't post for likes. Don't speak for praise. Don't move for attention. Move for clarity. Move for purpose. Move for truth. Here's your second discipline. Redefine feedback. Feedback isn't approval, it's information. Use it or lose it, but don't personalize it. A wise mind examines criticism. A fragile mind absorbs it. Be wise. Filter everything. And here's your third discipline. Gratitude over recognition. Progress that no one praises is still progress. You must learn to appreciate effort without external reward. That's how you grow steel confidence, one quiet victory at a time. One more truth. People who truly love you don't need you to perform. They don't punish you for saying no. They don't make your self-worth conditional. Real support respects your boundaries. The rest? Noise. Stop chasing ghosts of approval from people stuck in their own insecurities. Sometimes their silence means they're intimidated by your growth, not unimpressed by it. Let them stay silent. You keep moving. The less you chase approval, the more authentic your actions become. And authenticity attracts the right people naturally, slowly but surely, because that's how freedom works. When you stop begging to belong, your tribe finds you. Now say this slowly like a vow. I don't need to be liked to be valuable. I don't need to be understood to be strong. I don't need to explain peace. Every line is a reminder that you've been free all along, you just forgot. Approval isn't evil, but dependency is. Validation isn't bad, but addiction to it is fatal to focus. When you finally detach, you stop chasing temporary comfort. You start building permanent confidence. That's what real growth looks like: quiet, consistent, grounded. You stop needing to be right in every conversation. You stop needing everyone to agree. You stop defending your peace, you simply live it. Think of it. What could you do with the energy you've been wasting on being liked? How much progress is waiting on the other side of your fear of disapproval? You'll find that almost everything you want, mastery, peace, purpose, becomes accessible the moment you no longer need permission to have it. You become lighter, sharper, free. And that's what this chapter is about. Liberation, emotional independence, unapologetic purpose. That's the life of someone truly unbothered, guided by vision, not validation. So write it down, own it, live it. Approval is optional. Progress is essential. Asterisk asterisk. Carry that with you, because next we're going deeper into the mindset that sustains it. The ability to pause. Because when you detach from needing approval, you gain time, patience, and perspective, the foundation of calm power. Up next, mastering the power of the pause. Chapter 4, Master the Power of the Pause. There's a split second between what happens and what you do next. That tiny moment, most people waste it. They jump, they snap, they speak before thinking, and then they spend weeks trying to undo the damage. But that moment, if you can own it, is your freedom. Between the trigger and your reaction, there's a space. In that space lives your peace, your wisdom, and your discipline. That's the pause. Master that pause, and you master yourself. That's not philosophy. That's a survival skill. Listen carefully. Most people live in autopilot mode. They don't pause. They explode. They don't respond. They react. They don't reflect. They regret. That's the trap. And if you're serious about becoming unbothered, you've got to break out of it. You can't claim strength when every emotion controls you. You can't claim power when every word provokes you. You can't claim peace when every setback destabilizes you. You might not control every trigger, but you absolutely control your timing. That's the key. The pause is a weapon. It's a shield. It's that invisible line between wisdom and self-sabotage. Pause before you speak. Pause before you send that message. Pause before you hit post. Pause before you give energy to something unworthy of a reaction. Every pause protects your reputation, your relationships, and your mental clarity. Every pause is another act of self-respect. That's how you build emotional authority. Not by never feeling, but by never being ruled by what you feel. Let's break it down. Something triggers you. A tone, a text, a disappointment, an insult. Your body reacts first. Heart races, jaw tightens. That's your emotional reflex firing like a spark. If you don't pause, impulse takes over. You burn bridges. You say things you don't mean. You react to win the moment and lose long-term peace. But if you pause, if you breathe, everything shifts. You give your mind time to catch up with your body. You regain command. Say it, pause, breathe, proceed. That's your new code. That's your emotional reset button. The pause interrupts old programming, the instant reaction pattern that's been running your life. You might wonder, why is a pause so powerful? Because silence forces emotion to cool down and logic to catch up. Your brain is built that way. When you pause, you move from reactional thinking to rational thinking, from the limbic system to the frontal lobe. That's science serving discipline. That's calmness as intelligence. Most people confuse speed with strength. They rush to respond and call it courage. But real strength isn't loud, it's measured. Real strength waits a second longer than anger wants it to. That's control. You have to train the pause like a muscle. At first, it feels unnatural. That's fine. Growth always starts with discomfort. Start small. When someone interrupts you, don't react. Pause. Count to 3. When you're tempted to argue, pause. When your phone buzzes with bad news, pause. No immediate answers. No instant feedback. No emotional overreach. Practice restraint. Practice delay. Because restraint turns anger into clarity, and clarity turns frustration into power. You don't get stronger by reacting, you get stronger by resisting. Here's a truth nobody likes to admit. You've lost more opportunities to impatience than to failure. Think about it. You've probably broken trust or burned bridges not because you were wrong, but because you were too fast. You spoke too soon. You acted too emotional. You assumed too much. A single pause could have saved you. Those 3 seconds of calm could have changed your tone, your message, your outcome. People ruin deals, relationships, and self-respect simply because they don't know how to pause. You can't grow if your emotions hijack every moment. The pause gives you back leverage, creates emotional distance, and distance creates understanding. You know why calm people look unshakable? Because they've mastered the pause. They're not reacting slower, they're deciding smarter. When you pause, people notice something different about you. They feel your composure. You become unpredictable, unreadable. They can't provoke you because they can't time you. The pause makes you mysterious, and mystery makes you powerful. Pause before answering, and suddenly you control the tempo. You become the calm center of the storm instead of another leaf blowing in the wind. That's what it means to be unbothered. Not emotionless, but emotionally disciplined. Here's the problem. A lot of people confuse reaction with authenticity. They think saying the first thing that comes to mind is being real. No, it's being reactive. Real authenticity is emotional honesty with control. Pausing doesn't make you fake. It makes you focused. You still feel the emotion, you just don't hand it the steering wheel. Remember, every second you delay the reaction, you strengthen the response. That's the key. You have to see the pause as your power move. It's your way of saying, I will not let this situation dictate who I am. You'll shock people with how slow you move when they expect you to explode. They'll start watching you differently. They'll start respecting you differently. Because composure is rare, and rare always commands attention. Every pause is a flex of mastery. Every silence says more than anger ever could. People who control themselves are dangerous, not because they're cold, but because they're deliberate. Let's make this actionable. When you feel triggered, follow this sequence. 1. Notice. ***. Acknowledge the emotion without judgment. Say in your mind, I feel anger. Or I feel disappointment. Naming emotion weakens its control. 2. Pause. ***. Physically stop. Say nothing. Do nothing. Let the first wave pass. 3. Breathe. ***. Take 3 slow breaths. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Breath brings clarity. Always. 4. Reassess. Ask. What outcome do I actually want? Does reacting help or hurt that goal? That question alone will save you dozens of regrets. 5. Proceed. Move with intention. Speak with calm tone. Act from strategy, not emotion. That's the formula. Notice. Pause. Breathe. Reassess. Proceed. ***. Repeat it until it becomes muscle memory. Don't underestimate what a pause can fix. A pause can stop an argument from escalating. A pause can turn embarrassment into dignity. A pause can turn panic into precision. You have no idea how many times your calm could have been your cure. Calm doesn't mean nothing's happening. It means you're choosing to manage what's happening wisely. Let others waste energy on noise. You preserve yours for meaning. Pause isn't weakness. It's leadership. It's maturity. Make this your daily drill. When someone irritates you, pause. When something excites you too quickly, pause. When life hits you harder than expected, pause. Don't let your emotions outrun your intentions. You can have strong feelings without letting them dictate your direction. You can have fire inside you and still walk with absolute control. Calmness doesn't kill your edge. It polishes it. It turns raw emotion into refined focus. Say it now, out loud or in your mind. Pause. Breathe. Proceed. That's your mantra. That's your control switch. Because calmness is a form of intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Leadership intelligence. Life intelligence. And here's the real payoff. Mastering the pause doesn't just save you from mistakes. Create space. Space for wisdom. Space for understanding. Space for growth. That space becomes the foundation for every other discipline you'll build. From patience, to focus, to execution. When you master the pause, you create the mental stillness required for clarity. And clarity is the compass of success. Without it, you're just a reactive machine. With it, you become intentional. And intention is unstoppable. So remember, between trigger and reaction lies all your power. Own that gap. Strengthen that space. Because in that silence, you regain your strength. In that breath, you rewrite your story. In that pause, you prove you're in charge. Repeat it one last time. Pause. Breathe. Proceed. ***. That's not just a mantra. It's your method for mastering every storm ahead. Because if you can control one moment, you can control momentum. And that's exactly what you'll need for the next stage. Harnessing consistency, training your calm daily, and building the kind of discipline that never breaks. That's our next move. Training your calm, learning discipline like a daily workout. But for now, start here. Start small. Start with the pause because that's where strength is born. Chapter 5. Choose logic over emotion. You've been taught your whole life to follow your heart. But no one told you what to do when your heart lies. Because it does. It tells you to chase what's comfortable, not what's correct. It tells you to react, not reflect. It tells you to protect your ego, even when your growth demands you destroy it. Feelings are real, but they're not reliable. They move like weather. 1 minute they're calm. The next, they're chaos. You cannot build a strong life on an unstable foundation. That's why you have to choose logic over emotion. It's not about ignoring your feelings. It's about letting reason lead and emotion follow. Emotion clouds direction. Logic clears it. That's the key. When you live by emotion, everything becomes temporary. Temporary joy, temporary confidence, temporary motivation, because emotion changes every hour. But logic anchors you through the storm. It doesn't care about momentary noise, it focuses on lasting results. You know what emotion says in the middle of struggle? It says, quit. Logic says, stay the course. Emotion says, I'm tired. Logic says, but we're not done. Emotion says, they hurt me. Logic says, what can I learn? That's maturity, the ability to pause and let logic translate what emotion tried to exaggerate. Here's a truth that hurts but heals. Your emotions are not facts. Feeling rejected doesn't mean you're worthless. Feeling angry doesn't mean you're right. Feeling discouraged doesn't mean you should give up. The moment you stop treating emotion like truth, you start reclaiming clarity. You have a choice every time you feel something. Feed it or filter it. React or review. Be ruled or refined. Choosing logic doesn't mean you suppress emotion. It means you process it intelligently. You step back and ask, what's real here? What are the facts? Because facts protect you from fiction. Emotion thrives on exaggeration. Logic eliminates it. Your mind and your emotions are like a car. Emotion is the engine, it gives power, motion, fuel. Logic is the steering wheel, it gives direction, control, guidance. If you let the engine drive without a wheel, you crash. If you use the wheel without an engine, you never move. The key is alignment. Emotion fuels, logic navigates. You have to learn emotional discipline, not emotional denial. Most people swing between two extremes. They either let feelings run wild, or they shut them off completely. Both destroy balance. Emotional maturity is the middle ground, feeling deeply but acting wisely. That discipline separates children from adults, amateurs from masters, chaos from calm. Every time emotion says, react now, logic whispers, wait. That whisper is your wisdom. When emotion burns, it's loud. When logic leads, it's steady. If you want to win big in life, you must become emotionally silent long enough to hear logic speak. It's in that silence you find your edge. It's in that stillness you find truth. You've done impulsive things before, said words you regretted, made choices that cost you peace, chased short-term satisfaction that destroyed long-term stability. Every one of those moments was emotion unchecked. Every one of those disasters was logic ignored. You can't afford to keep learning that way. Start replacing your emotional questions with logical ones. Instead of asterisk, why is this happening to me? Asterisk, ask asterisk, what is this trying to teach me? Asterisk. Instead of asterisk, why do they treat me like that? Asterisk, ask asterisk, why do I keep allowing access? Asterisk. Instead of asterisk, how do I make them see my worth? Asterisk, ask asterisk, why am I still needing their approval to feel valuable? Asterisk. That shift from emotional reaction to logical reflection changes everything. Emotion wants blame. Logic wants growth. And what you chase defines your evolution. You need these 4 rules burned into your brain. 1. Emotion is a signal, not an order. Asterisk asterisk. It tells you that something needs attention, not that you must act immediately. Feel it, but don't follow it blindly. 2. Pause before you interpret. Asterisk asterisk. Every feeling passes if you give it enough time. What feels impossible today might look insignificant next week. 3. Never let emotion speak first in important conversations. Asterisk asterisk. The first words that come out when you're triggered are rarely the wisest. Pause, compose, then lead with clarity. 4. Logic must always build the plan. Asterisk asterisk. Emotion can motivate you to start, but logic must design the route, or chaos will swallow every bit of progress. That's emotional discipline in motion. When something happens, an insult, a setback, a disappointment, emotion stirs up the storm. You feel it. You can't help that, but you can choose what happens next. That's your power. Most people let the wave crash into them, but emotionally disciplined people learn to surf it. They ride the wave until it's safe to stand again. That's what it means to lead yourself. Say it, emotion follows discipline, not the other way around. That's your new rule. You don't wait for the right feeling. You act with discipline until the right feeling catches up. You don't need to feel motivated to move. You move anyway. Emotion is the passenger. Discipline is the driver. The truth is, emotional maturity looks boring from the outside. It's not dramatic. It's not reactive. It's controlled. It's stable. It's measured. But that quiet confidence, the kind built on clarity and calm, outlasts every emotional high or low. Every single time. That's why the calm win. Not because they're emotionless, but because they don't let temporary storms rewrite permanent plans. Say that again. Emotional maturity is refusing to let momentary feelings rewrite permanent plans. How many times have you almost ruined something valuable because your feelings took over? How many times did you make a permanent decision during a temporary emotion? You've seen the cost. You know what it feels like. It's time to stop repeating the same emotional mistakes. Let logic clear what emotion compels. Because logic doesn't care about comfort. It cares about clarity. And clarity builds consistency. Consistency builds achievement. Achievement builds peace. You can't get any of that if you keep letting emotions hijack every step forward. Remember, at the end of every emotional storm comes a rational question. Was that necessary? Most of the time, it wasn't. That's why you have to be faster with logic than you are with feelings. You have to intercept the reaction before it takes root. When emotion pushes you to act, logic asks, what result do I actually want? That's the bridge between impulse and intention. It's one line that saves reputations, relationships, and peace. When you learn to pause inside those moments and ask that question, everything shifts. You no longer respond out of ego, you respond out of purpose. You no longer seek revenge, you seek resolution. You no longer chase validation, you chase growth. That's leadership over self. That's control over chaos. And make no mistake, this doesn't happen overnight. Emotional control is a daily workout. You'll struggle. You'll slip. You'll say something too soon, reply too fast, take something too personally. That's okay. You're training patience, not perfection. The goal isn't to stop feeling. The goal is to respond smarter each time you feel deeply. Little by little, logic will become your default. You'll notice yourself thinking before reacting. You'll notice that silence starts to feel stronger than shouting. You'll feel strength in restraint instead of chaos in immediacy. That's progress. Here's your daily practice to stay grounded in logic. 1. Morning reset asterisk. Before you start your day, visualize calm. Tell yourself, I will not let emotion lead today. I lead emotion. 2. Midday awareness asterisk. Halfway through, audit your energy. Ask, asterisk, am I making decisions based on logic or reaction? Asterisk. Recalibrate if needed. 3. Evening reflect asterisk. Before you sleep, review your moments of emotion. Ask what logic could have done differently. That's how you refine self-control. This is how you lead your life from a calm core, not a chaotic current. Choosing logic doesn't remove passion, it refines it. You don't lose your heart. You gain your aim. Emotion tells you what matters. Logic tells you what works. Together, they make power. Say it again. Emotion follows discipline, not the other way around. That's how emotionally mature people move. Cold clarity on the outside, calm confidence on the inside. No spikes, no crashes, just steady forward motion. That's the life of someone unbothered. And as you master logic over emotion, something powerful happens next. Your focus sharpens. You start to see how every emotional leak costs you energy. You start to realize peace has a price tag. That's the next step. It's what separates those who stay consistent from those who constantly recover from chaos. Up next, training your calm daily, turning discipline into peace. But never forget this one truth. Feelings are waves. Logic is the shore. You can ride the wave, but you always return to shore. That's control. That's freedom. That's the power of choosing logic over emotion. Chapter 6. Train your calm daily. Everyone wants peace, but few are willing to train for it. They say, I just want to feel calm, while doing nothing that actually builds calm. They wait for peace to arrive like luck, as if serenity will suddenly appear between chaos and caffeine. It doesn't. Calm isn't luck. Calm is discipline. Calm isn't found. It's trained. And just like any other muscle, if you don't train it daily, it atrophies. That's the truth nobody tells you. You don't become calm just because you want to. You become calm because you practice stillness on purpose every single day. Here's what you need to understand right now. Calmness is built through repetition, not intention. Wishing doesn't train it. Reading about it doesn't train it. Talking about it doesn't train it. Repetition does. Habits do. Structure does. Every day that you stay consistent with small disciplines, you fortify your mind for the bigger ones. That's how soldiers train for battle, not by waiting for war, but by mastering the basics when it's quiet. You want to rise above stress? Then you train calm before the storm. Because calm is not tested in peace, it's revealed in pressure. And when pressure comes, only your preparation shows up. Everyone says stress breaks them. No, stress doesn't break you. Untrained responses do. Pressure doesn't destroy people. Lack of discipline does. You lose control because you never practiced control when it was small. You explode at life's big frustrations because you never built your calm in the small ones. It's not the crisis that kills your peace. It's your reaction to it. The same way muscles tear under load, character cracks under stress. That's why you train daily, not to avoid stress, but to strengthen your response. You don't get tougher by avoiding the weight. You get tougher by lifting it consistently. You want a calmer life? Then stop waiting for a calm day. You create calm days by training a calm mind. So here's your foundation. Morning silence, journaling, and breath work. These are your daily reps. The mental gym. You don't conquer chaos by waking up and handing your peace to your phone, your inbox, or someone else's drama. You conquer chaos by starting the day before the world gets a say. Silence first. Always silence first. That moment in the morning, that stillness, is where you build structure. You breathe. You write. You reflect. 5 minutes of silence trains you. 10 minutes of journaling centers you. 3 deep, slow breaths calm you. And if you can do that every day, your whole nervous system starts obeying your command. Why? Because repetition builds readiness. Your calm becomes a reflex, not a reaction. Here's what you need to stop doing. Waiting until you're angry, anxious, or overwhelmed to start practicing calm. That's like deciding to learn how to breathe underwater once you're already drowning. Practice peace when you don't need it, so it's ready when you do. You wouldn't expect a boxer to stay sharp if he only trains after getting punched. And yet, that's how most people live, only practicing patience when chaos hits. You have to reverse that order. You earn control in stillness first, so chaos can't steal it later. That's the difference between amateurs and masters. Amateurs react. Masters rehearse. Rehearse your calm every day. That's the key. And no, this isn't about being passive or shutting down emotion. Calm doesn't mean you don't care. It means you do care without collapsing. It means you can act strategically even when life demands emotion. You can still move fast without moving frantically. You can still be passionate without being unhinged. You can still feel deeply without letting feelings run your entire show. That's what daily calm training gives you. It gives you control over your emotions instead of control from them. So how do you train calm in real life? Not just morning routines and meditation sessions, but all day long. Simple. Every irritation becomes a rep. Someone cuts you off in traffic? Republic. You breathe, not bark. Someone interrupts you? Republic. You pause, not panic. Something doesn't go your way? Republic. You adjust, not explode. Every small moment is your practice ground. Stay calm when it's small, and you'll stay calm when it's serious. You earn peace through practice, not prayer. You earn emotional control through training your responses over and over again. Repeat this out loud. Stillness is my strength. Say it every morning. Say it when you want to react. Say it until your mind believes it. Because eventually it won't just be a line, it'll be your instinct. In a loud world, stillness is rebellion. In a reactive world, composure is power. In a distracted world, focus is freedom. Every day you train your calm, you become a threat to chaos. Because chaos feeds on attention, and you're no longer giving it any. Here's what you'll notice once you start living this way. Your triggers will shrink. Things that once irritated you will barely register. You'll begin to outgrow arguments, walk away from pettiness, and stop feeling the need to prove anything. That's growth. Not because life got easier, but because you became harder to shake. You'll see that calm isn't about what happens around you. It's about what stays unbeaten within you. You start to develop what I call quiet power. It's the strength to pause when others panic. It's the strength to move with purpose when others flinch in fear. It's the strength to respond with clarity when everyone else reacts with chaos. That's not talent. That's training. You have to treat calm like a craft. Build routines around it. Protect it like a sacred ritual. Because the truth is, life will never stop testing you. You don't reach a level where you're immune to challenge. You reach a level where challenge no longer breaks you. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. Anyone can be calm once, but only the disciplined can be calm every day. You don't need perfect days. You need consistent practice. Miss one? Fine. Start again tomorrow. There is no finish line. The peace you want must be renewed daily, through silence, breath, reflection, and repetition. That's your way out of reaction. That's your way into command. Let's make this crystal clear. Calm doesn't mean you stop feeling pressure. It means pressure no longer makes your decisions. It doesn't mean life stops being loud. It means you stop matching its volume. You can't always control the noise, but you can train your focus not to flinch. Calm people don't have easier lives, they have trained minds. That's why they win. You have two choices every morning. You can wake up and let the world grab your emotions first, or you can take command through training your calm. You can rush into chaos or step into silence. You know which one creates strength. Say it again. Stillness is my strength. Repeat it until it becomes the soundtrack of your decisions. Every repetition builds inner momentum. Every moment of restraint builds stability. Because the goal isn't to live a life without storms. The goal is to train your calm so deeply that no storm can move you. So tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you speak to anyone, before the noise starts, sit down, breathe, focus. 5 minutes of silence. 5 lines in your journal. 5 calm breaths. That's your new morning mantra. Your mental warm-up before the world tests your patience. Because a mind that begins calm finishes strong. And once calm becomes your daily habit, the next level reveals itself, emotional focus. Because calm without focus is wasted potential. You can't just feel steady. You have to direct that steadiness towards something. That's your next stage. Learning to guard and channel your focus like it's sacred, because it is. But before you get there, master this foundation. Train your calm daily. Repeat your mantra relentlessly. Don't skip the reps. Because every day you practice calm, you're sharpening your mind into a weapon. And that's what truly unbothered people are, calm weapons. Ready, composed, unshakable. Chapter 7. Cut emotional noise. Your biggest enemy isn't chaos. It's noise. Not the noise around you, the noise inside you. That constant chatter, the replaying, the worrying, the imaginary conversations that never end. Overthinking, overanalyzing, overfeeling, that's the real drain. That's emotional pollution, and it's robbing you of clarity, focus, and peace. You can't move decisively when your mind sounds like a crowded room. You can't grow when every thought fights for your attention. You can't lead yourself when emotion screams louder than logic. It's time to cut the noise. Here's the truth most won't admit. Your mind isn't stressful, your attachment to noise is. You've grown addicted to confusion, to speed, to drama. You tell yourself you hate it, but deep down you feed on it, because chaos distracts you from your own stillness. Silence scares people who have avoided self-awareness. That's why they keep busy. That's why they scroll endlessly, argue pointlessly, and talk ceaselessly. You have to stop subscribing to noise like it's breaking news. Think of every unnecessary thought as junk mail. Stop opening it. Stop reading it. Stop reacting to it. You have a choice. Every second of your day, you choose whether to fuel clarity or chaos. That's the key. Overthinking is emotional pollution. Clutters your judgment. It muddies your focus. It makes tiny issues look massive. You start reliving arguments, replaying rejections, reimagining outcomes that don't even exist. You confuse analysis with action. You confuse worry with preparation. You confuse noise with importance. But noise solves nothing. Static. Keeps you busy but never productive. It pretends to be control but only amplifies confusion. And the reason you stay trapped in it is simple: you've never built filters. You filter what goes into your body, but you let anything into your mind. You defend your schedule, but you let emotions interrupt at will. That stops now. Repeat this line to yourself until it becomes automatic. I owe no reaction. Say it when people bait you. Say it when your own thoughts turn anxious. Say it when you feel the urge to over-explain, over-defend, or overanalyze. Because every reaction costs energy, and energy is currency. If you react to everything, you're broke by noon. Here's what emotionally strong people understand. Not everything deserves a response, and not everything deserves audience time. Some things deserve silence. Some things deserve distance. Some things deserve to be deleted. That's emotional minimalism, the mature art of giving less where you used to give too much. You need to simplify. Not everything that crosses your mind deserves attention. Not every emotion that rises needs investigation. Not every story your brain tells you is true. A quiet mind doesn't mean an empty one. It means a focused one. Simplicity sharpens focus, and focus strengthens calm. When you cut mental excess, everything becomes easier. Decisions feel cleaner. Conversations flow smoother. Stress fades faster, because focus breeds direction, and direction kills noise. It's time to unfollow the emotional spam in your life. Start by asking, what creates unnecessary noise for me? That could be a person, a pattern, a digital addiction, or a mental habit. Maybe it's scrolling through negativity before bed. Maybe it's checking your phone before your mind even wakes up. Maybe it's replaying every mistake you made last week as if regret could rewrite history. All of it noise. All of it avoidable. You have to protect your mind the same way you protect your peace. They're the same thing. Let's make this practical. Here's how you start cutting the noise daily. 1. Morning silence. Asterisk asterisk. Wake up and resist the phone check. Give yourself 10 minutes of quiet before input. This sets your emotional tone. You're training your thoughts to wait their turn. 2. Clear priorities. Asterisk asterisk. Every morning, pick 3 tasks that actually matter. Not 30. 3. Everything else is background noise until those are done. Simplicity breeds mastery. 3. Discipline your consumption. Asterisk asterisk. Ask yourself before every scroll, every show, every conversation. Is this adding value or adding noise? If it's noise, skip it. 4. Scheduled thinking time. Asterisk asterisk. Here's a secret. Overthinkers don't lack focus. They lack mental structure. Give yourself a dedicated window each day for reflection. Outside that window, shut the thoughts off. If it's not time to think about it, it's not time to stress about it. 5. End of day mental declutter. ***, right? Dump your thoughts on paper before bed. Empty your head so your mind doesn't turn night into another argument. That's how you reset. Every day. The quieter your mind, the stronger your decisions become. Because strength needs space to think. You can't hear your own intuition if it's buried under 300 thoughts yelling at once. You can't hear logic if anxiety keeps interrupting. Silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of awareness. That's power. Because when your mind is quiet, you see clearly. And when you see clearly, you move intentionally. Most people are living by reaction because their heads are too noisy to plan. They make emotional decisions in emotional moments, no pause, no logic, no filter. You must rise above that. Repeat it to yourself, I owe no reaction. That phrase is a full strategy. It ends unnecessary battles before they begin. Every time you don't respond to drama, you keep your peace and your energy intact. Because reacting is expensive, and you have better investments for your energy. Let's talk about drama for a second. You are constantly invited to it by people, by media, by the little triggers that call your name like sirens. But here's a discipline to remember. You don't have to attend every drama you're invited to. You can decline. You can delete. You can disappear. You can simply not show up. Every time you attend drama, you feed a monster that will never be full. Drama never seeks resolution. Drama seeks stimulation. It doesn't want peace, it wants participation. So when you starve it, it dies. That's how peace grows, by absence of chaos, not by conquest of it. You don't win by fighting noise. You win by refusing to engage with it. Overthinking, gossip, emotional overcommitment, spiraling, arguing. That's all noise. And noise tricks you into thinking you're doing something when you're just spinning. It gives you the illusion of productivity while keeping you paralyzed. But silence, that's real work. Silence forces reflection. Silence exposes truth. Takes courage to be still in a noisy world. But that courage is what sets you apart from the crowd. Because while everyone else is busy reacting, you'll be refining. While they're performing, you're planning. While they're rushing, you're mastering. That's how leaders are built, not by volume but by vision. Cutting emotional noise doesn't mean isolating yourself from life. It means listening to life more intelligently. It means not giving useless thoughts free rent. It means protecting the bandwidth that creates progress. Because here's the cost of noise. You lose focus. You lose momentum. You lose life's simple joy because your attention is scattered everywhere. Noise robs you of presence. And presence is where peace lives. You can't feel alive if you're mentally everywhere except here. That's the transformation you're chasing, mental minimalism. Less noise, more awareness, more power. Every day, remind yourself, I choose clarity over chaos. I owe no reaction. My peace is not up for public consumption. Say these until they become your reflex. Because once noise stops owning you, you become infinitely calmer, sharper, and more deliberate. You stop chasing answers that never mattered. You stop carrying opinions that never served you. You stop participating in emotions you never chose. That's real freedom, not from the world, but from the noise inside you. So quiet down. Filter thoughts like you filter air. Pull the plug on distractions that don't deserve your energy. The quieter your mind, the stronger your decisions. And strong decisions build strong direction. That's your next focus, protecting that direction, owning your attention like your life depends on it, because it does. Up next, we go deeper into that exact mastery. Guarding your focus, the discipline of laser clarity. But for now, start here. Simplify, detach, let the noise fade. Because silence isn't emptiness. It's strength, waiting to be heard. Chapter 8. Disengage from toxic people with dignity. You will never find peace in a room full of chaos. You will never grow in circles that feed on drama. And you will never elevate your life by staying connected to people who keep pulling you down. It's not your job to heal dysfunction that won't acknowledge itself. It's your job to protect your mind, your energy, and your dignity. That begins with one decision: learning how to disengage. Not emotionally, not explosively, but gracefully, because confrontation doesn't always fix things. Sometimes silence does. Not everything needs confrontation. Not every conflict needs closure. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is your absence. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone who misunderstood you. You don't need to argue to prove your worth. You don't need to defend what calm already confirms. Silence can end what arguments extend. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise. You're finally choosing peace over performance. Here's the truth. Toxic people feed off reactions. They thrive on chaos because chaos keeps them in control. They bait you into arguments so they can steal your focus. They twist your calm into guilt. They frame your distance as disrespect. But they can only manipulate what you participate in. That's the key. Disengagement isn't running away. It's reclaiming control. You're not withdrawing to hide, you're withdrawing to heal. You're not surrendering, you're protecting. Say it: I withdraw, not surrender. Let that phrase rewire the way you view distance. Because society trained you to believe that stepping back is weakness. It's not. It's maturity. Distance doesn't mean you don't care. Distance means you care about yourself enough to stop bleeding for people who thrive on cutting. You have to understand the game toxic people play. They love confusion. They love emotional clutter. They love when your spirit becomes reactive and unfocused, because that's how they win. Confusion is control. When you're drained, they dictate. When you're angry, they manipulate. When you're calm, they panic because they can't reach you anymore. That's why disengagement is warfare in silence. You're no longer handing them your energy. You're showing them that their chaos doesn't move you. You're saying, your access was a privilege, not a right. And when you move like that, power shifts. Understand this. You don't need closure from people who created conflict for attention. Closure isn't something they give. It's something you decide. The unbothered don't chase closure. They choose clarity. Clarity says, they showed me who they are. I believe them. Clarity says, the cycle ends with my calm. Clarity says, I don't need an apology to move forward. I just need boundaries. Stop reopening conversations that only lead to the same pain. Stop explaining your perspective to people who need confusion to feel powerful. Stop fighting for mutual understanding with those who have no interest in understanding anything but their control. When you let go of the need to fix them, you fix yourself. That's the lesson. Disengage with dignity. No slamming doors. No dramatic exits. Just silence, consistency, and distance. That's how you win with grace. You don't post rants. You don't send paragraphs. You don't chase explanations. You simply vanish from the nonsense. When toxic energy realizes you've stopped being reachable, stopped being persuadable, that's when they lose interest. Their favorite weapon has always been your reaction. Don't hand it over. Repeat this until it feels like instinct. I owe no reaction. Your silence is not weakness, it's strategy. You have to redefine what walking away means. It's not abandonment, it's alignment. You are aligning your peace with your boundaries. It doesn't matter whether they understand it. It doesn't matter whether they approve. You don't need their permission to protect your space. You don't need their agreement to evolve. Let people call it pride. Let them call it ego. You know what it really is? Self-respect. Because when you value yourself, disrespect becomes intolerable. That's emotional intelligence, knowing the difference between fixing and enabling. You can forgive someone from a distance. You can wish them well and still refuse to go back. Healing doesn't require reunion. It requires release. Let people reveal themselves. You don't need to expose them. They'll always do it better than you ever could. Your calm exposes everything. When you no longer engage, their true colors surface. When you stop reacting, the mask slips. When you remain unbothered, their patterns become obvious. Not just to you, but to everyone around them. Because people eventually reveal what they're loyal to, peace or chaos. Believe them the first time. Don't keep repainting red flags. Let their actions be the explanation. Let silence be your statement. That's emotional maturity. But let's be honest. Disengagement will test you. It's not easy to walk away calmly. You'll feel guilt. You'll feel doubt. You'll want to explain yourself one last time. That's emotion trying to reopen the door that logic just closed. Understand this clearly. Guilt is often your old programming guilt-tripping you for growing. You were raised to accommodate, to overgive, to make peace even when it cost your sanity. Now, when you exercise boundaries, it feels like betrayal. It's not. It's correction. You're rebalancing your loyalty from others to yourself. That's growth. You might also worry about being perceived as cold. Stop worrying about perception. The same people who call you cold now are the ones who burned you before. If calm looks cold to those addicted to chaos, so be it. Silence unsettles people who live off toxicity. Your restraint becomes their confusion. Good. Let them be confused. Your job isn't to explain peace to people who profit from noise. Let me tell you what happens once you master this art. Your energy resets. Your confidence returns. Your mind clears. Your focus sharpens. Because disengaging is liberation. You stop negotiating with nonsense. You stop waking up in emotional debt. You start choosing you. And when you choose you, you glow differently. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're no longer drained by everyone. That's real freedom. That's peace earned. Here's the formula for disengagement with dignity. 1. Recognize toxicity early. ***. You don't need proof. You need patterns. Trust consistency over charm. 2. Set boundaries privately. ***. You don't announce them. You enforce them. You don't need to explain peace to anyone who benefits from your unrest. 3. Exit silently. ***. No dramatic exits. No warnings. No emotional essays. Just calm distance. 4. Stay consistent. ***. Don't leave and return just because loneliness whispers or guilt bites. When you close the door, keep it closed. 5. Focus forward. ***. Energy removed from toxicity must be redirected to growth. Fill the space you freed with discipline, silence, and self-respect. That's how you win without shouting. Disengagement is not about punishing others. It's about preserving yourself. It's not cruelty. It's clarity. You are allowed to walk away in peace. You are allowed to stop explaining. You are allowed to prioritize mental calm over emotional chaos. Say it with me. I withdraw, not surrender. And never forget, distance is not disrespect. It's protection. Protect what's sacred. Your focus, your time, your emotional stability. Because when you protect those things, your life evolves. And when your life evolves, peace chases you instead of the other way around. So, the next time someone tries to pull you into another cycle of drama, pause, watch, don't react. Let them speak. Let them spin. Let them reveal. Then quietly step away. Your silence will speak volumes. Your calm will say what your words never could. This isn't about proving who's right. It's about remembering what's worth it. When you stop chasing the wrong voices, you start hearing your own. That's how you rebuild self-trust after toxicity. That's how you return to strength. From now on, remind yourself daily, you don't owe reactions. You don't owe explanations. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. They can interpret your calm as distance. That's fine, because you've outgrown chaos, and outgrowing always looks cold to those still addicted to heat. That's what dignity looks like, selective connection guided by self-worth. And once you step away from the noise of others, you'll finally be able to focus on the signal that matters most, yourself. That's where the next chapter leads. Protecting and channeling your focus so deeply that no distraction, no toxicity, no emotional bait can reach it. Because once you disengage with dignity, you don't just find peace, you preserve it. Chapter 9. Turn rejection into redirection. Rejection stings, doesn't it? It hits deep, pokes at your worth. It whispers lies that sound convincing when you're tired or doubting yourself. I wasn't good enough. I should have done more. I failed. But here's the truth. Rejection isn't proof of your inadequacy. It's proof that you're participating in life. That's right, if you're getting rejected, it means you're in the arena. You're trying. You're moving. You're aiming for something worth reaching. Only those who sit still never get rejected. And that's a worse destiny than failure, that's stagnation. So let's rewire this today. Rejection isn't punishment. It's redirection. It's emotional training. It's feedback in disguise. If you can absorb that truth, if you can face every no with calm instead of collapse, you become unstoppable. Every time life hands you rejection, you have two options. You can ask, why me? Or what's next? The first question keeps you stuck. The second keeps you moving. That's the difference between an emotional mind and a disciplined one. Because an emotional mind personalizes everything. It takes rejection as identity. They don't want me, therefore I'm not enough. A calm mind sees it as instruction. That door closed. Time to find another one. You have a choice. Always. You can victimize yourself or study the lesson. Stop personalizing disappointment. Analyze it. Stop collapsing under feedback, extract power from it. That's the mindset of the unbothered. Rejection is the world's quality filter. It's not trying to destroy you, it's trying to refine you. Every rejection removes what isn't aligned with your purpose. Every no cuts off dead weight you were never meant to carry. But instead of appreciating the redirection, most people take it personally. They chase validation from the same sources that denied them. They turn projection from others into self-punishment. That's weakness disguised as persistence. You don't need to win where you're not wanted. You just need to stop forcing closed doors. That's the key. Learn to release the wrong doors with grace so the right ones can open with ease. You have to unlearn your emotional attachment to outcomes. Life won't always give you what you imagined, but it will always give you what you need. The problem is, you don't recognize it because you're too busy mourning what's missing. Rejection often arrives as protection. That job that didn't hire you, it might have drained you. That person who ghosted you, they saved you time. That opportunity that vanished, it wasn't timing, it was realignment. You just didn't see it yet. The calm mind understands that everything serves a purpose, even the pain. The emotional mind demands immediate fairness and ends up bitter. That's why calm people pivot while emotional people panic. Let's build that discipline. Every time you hear a no, ask 3 questions. 1. What is this teaching me about timing? 2. What is this revealing about me that I can refine? 3. What direction might this be protecting me toward? That 3-step reflection turns emotional sting into analytical clarity. It stops you from spiraling and starts you strategizing. Instead of collapsing, you recalibrate. Instead of sulking, you reposition. That's maturity in motion. Say it with me, every no sharpens my focus. Not weakens, sharpens. Rejection doesn't lower your potential. It polishes your priorities. Here's the truth most people will never tell you. Rejection is a requirement. Not an exception, a requirement. Every person you admire has a trail of rejection letters. Missed opportunities, failed attempts, and painful no's behind them. But they used those rejections as reps, emotional conditioning that trained resilience. Rejection built their thick skin. Rejection refined their vision. Rejection calibrated their standards. The difference between quitters and winners isn't how many times they got rejected. It's how quickly they recovered. You don't need fewer rejections. You need faster recoveries. That's training. Think of rejection as emotional weightlifting. Every no forces your mental muscles to stabilize. Every disappointment builds tolerance. Every failure strengthens your endurance. If you avoid those reps, you never grow capacity. If you keep choosing comfort, you stay fragile. You can't preach resilience, then run from resistance. That's why rejection is necessary. It keeps you adaptive. Because the truth is, you won't always get what you want at the first attempt. But if you stay consistent and keep adjusting, you'll always get closer to what you deserve. That's redirection. Let's expose the lie you've been believing, that rejection defines your value. False. Rejection defines context, not character. It tells you whether something fits, not whether you're worthy. A door that's locked doesn't mean you're unworthy of entry. It means your key doesn't match. And no amount of banging changes that. So stop crying at doors you weren't supposed to open. Your energy belongs to the next opportunity, not the last disappointment. Say it again, every no sharpens my focus. You don't need everyone's yes. You just need the right one. When you take rejection personally, you activate weakness. When you take rejection strategically, you activate power. Weakness complains, I guess I'm not good enough. Power says, I'll be ready next time. Weakness holds grudges against closed doors. Power looks for open windows. Weakness shrinks. Power pivots. That's the difference. And the choice is yours every time. You'll face hundreds of rejections in your life. Personal, professional, emotional. And every single one is an invitation. To evolve or to resent. Choose evolution. Every time. Now listen closely. The calm mind always wins long-term because it preserves energy. When you don't panic, you keep perspective. When you stop begging for closure, you start building competence. The unbothered don't chase explanations. They chase execution. They don't ask, why did this happen to me? They ask, how can I use this? That one shift changes everything. Emotion fuels drama. Logic fuels growth. The more you train yourself to see rejection logically, the less power emotion holds over you. You go from feeling lost to being laser-focused, from wounded to wise. That's how rejection turns into redirection. You need a mindset mantra to anchor this shift. Repeat after me, slowly, deliberately. Every rejection refines me. Every no sharpens my focus. Every delay builds my discipline. Every loss aligns my path. Say it often until your subconscious learns that rejection isn't danger anymore. It's data. It's feedback for your mental evolution. When you reach that level, rejection won't break your stride. It'll become your silent mentor. You won't fear failure, you'll expect a few along the path and keep walking. Because calm minds know that every detour still leads to destination, as long as they keep moving forward. That's maturity. That's composure. That's your next level. Let's go even deeper. Sometimes rejection isn't from others. It's from life itself. Opportunities dry up. Doors close. Timing delays what you're working for. In those seasons, the challenge isn't external rejection. It's internal patience. The question becomes, can you stay committed when nothing's confirming your progress? Can you trust your preparation even when results are missing? If yes, victory's inevitable. Because the powerful don't panic in silence. They refine in silence. They use rejection seasons to sharpen, to plan, to reset. While everyone else collapses at no, they prepare for next. That's how you turn rejection into redirection. Turn pain into progress while the crowd sulks. The next time you're rejected, remind yourself, it's not rejection, it's recalibration. Repeat until it becomes reflex. Don't ask for validation. Don't beg for fairness. Don't spiral into self-doubt. Stop equating no with never. It's just not yet. Because life tests you before it trusts you. You don't get the outcome until you've built the maturity to handle it. And rejection is the gym where that maturity is trained. That's the game. Remember these 5 truths when you face rejection. 1. Rejection is feedback, not failure. 2. Calm minds ask, what's next? Not why me. 3. Every no narrows your focus to where you belong. 4. Emotional reactions waste energy. Logical reactions build strategy. 5. Your value doesn't decrease just because someone can't see it. Engrave those into your thinking. Live by them. Because once you understand rejection, you stop resisting it. You use it. You thank it. You grow from it. Every no builds a version of you that can handle the yes that's coming. So let this be your closing reminder. Don't fight rejection. Don't personalize it. Don't run from it. Face it. Learn from it. Pivot because of it. The unbothered never panic, they adjust. Every rejection is redirection in disguise. If you stay calm long enough to see the lesson, you'll realize it's not taking something away. It's pointing you towards something better. That's strength. That's control. That's mental mastery. And as you master that mindset, the next step will become natural, learning to let go of control altogether. Because some things don't need to be forced, only trusted. That's where we're going next. Letting go of control, finding freedom in acceptance. Until then, breathe, reset, and repeat it one more time. Every no sharpens my focus. Chapter 10. Let go of control. You want peace. You say it all the time. I just want to be at peace. But here's the truth. You'll never master peace until you stop trying to control everything. That's the paradox. The tighter you hold on, the more things slip through your fingers. The more you try to force life, the more resistance it gives you. You can't control outcomes. You can't control people. You can't control timing. You can only control you, your effort, your mindset, your reaction. That's all you ever get. And if you can master that, you become unshakable. But most people never get there. They drain their energy micromanaging the uncontrollable. They yell at storms. They chase you can't control outcomes, you can't control people. They lose sleep over what-ifs that never happen. And then they wonder why they're exhausted. Peace doesn't live in control. Peace lives in surrender, the wise kind, not the weak kind. Surrender is not giving up. It's giving over. Giving over the illusion that you can dictate everything. Say this out loud. I manage effort, not outcomes. That one sentence is freedom, because effort is yours, outcome isn't. Control feels powerful, but it's actually panic in disguise. It's fear dressed up as responsibility. You think you're managing, but really you're wrestling life. You're battling timing, doubting faith, distrusting your own path. And here's the truth, the universe never submits to those who demand. It responds to those who align. Trying to force results is like holding your breath underwater hoping to breathe deeper. You drown faster. You want oxygen. Rise and release. You want peace? Let go of control. The calm mind understands this natural law. Control attaches you to outcomes. Attachment creates anxiety. Anxiety kills peace. And you can't make strong decisions from a shaky place. That's why you need to learn emotional detachment. The discipline of doing your best without obsessing about the rest. You do your part. You give what's in your hands. Then you let go. Because control doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. Let that sink in. Control doesn't protect peace. Prevents it. You have to be wise enough to lead what's within reach and humble enough to release what isn't. That's balance. That's maturity. That's real mastery. A lot of people confuse control with discipline. They're not the same. Discipline is power. It's structure. It's showing up daily and doing what you said you'd do. Control is fear. It's insecurity masquerading as responsibility. One builds peace. The other destroys it. One says, I'll stay consistent. The other says, I need to make sure everything happens my way. You have to catch yourself when control creeps in. Because it will. Control thrives in fear of uncertainty. But here's the secret. Uncertainty isn't your enemy. It's your edge. It's the space where faith, creativity, and growth are born. If you could predict everything, you'd never learn anything. If nothing surprised you, nothing would shape you. So instead of resisting uncertainty, work with it. Use it as your training ground for calm expansion. Let patience breathe in the gaps where control used to suffocate. That's what emotionally mature people do. They stay steady while life rearranges. They remind themselves, I don't control the storm. I control my sail. I don't command the outcome. I command my effort. You have to chant that truth until it becomes who you are. Because instability outside doesn't have to mean instability inside. Think back to every time control backfired. You tried to manipulate a situation, and it slipped further away. You tried to hold on to someone who was already gone. It only made them run faster. You tried to predict timing, but life had its own calendar. How many times did you burn yourself trying to steer what wasn't yours to steer? It's time to stop burning energy on the uncontrollable. That's not maturity, that's madness. Let people be who they are. Let timing unfold how it must. Let outcomes do what they're going to do. That doesn't mean you disengage from life. It means you engage without attachment. You give effort without anxiety. You set goals without obsession. You build without begging the universe for permission. That's mastery. Say it with me. I manage effort, not outcomes. This is the mental switch you've been missing. Effort keeps you productive. Control keeps you prisoner. Effort is empowerment. Control is ego. When you focus on effort, you feel grounded. You do your best, then step back and trust alignment. That's peace. When you focus on control, you fixate. You force. You chase. You grip until your soul is sore. That's tension. And tension kills flow. That's why people who try to control everything always feel stuck, because they are stuck between fear and faith, stuck between movement and trust. If you want momentum, you have to stop wrestling and start releasing. This is where wisdom comes in, knowing when to push and when to pause, knowing when to act and when to accept. Most people fail not because they didn't act, but because they never stopped reacting. They kept pushing when patience was wisdom. They kept talking when silence was strength. You have to learn that not every situation needs your hand on it. Some things need your faith more than your force. When you can stand still while everything is uncertain, that's real strength. Calmness is not passive. It's precise. Surrender isn't giving up. It's stepping aside so wisdom can work. Let's call it what it is. Your obsession with control is a lack of trust disguised as focus. You don't trust yourself enough to adapt. You don't trust life enough to time things right. You don't trust the process enough to flow. And so you force, you grip, you panic. But every time you release, peace floods in. That's not magic. It's alignment. Because peace doesn't enter the mind of someone trying to run every scenario like a puppet master. It enters the one who says, I'll do my best and let life respond. Trust the process over panic. So how do you practice letting go of control? You train it like every other discipline. Here's your strategy. 1. Identify what's truly yours. Asterisk. Stop confusing influence with control. You can influence effort, reaction, and mindset, not guarantees, not people, not outcomes. Get clear on the difference. 2. Audit your control habits. Asterisk. Notice when you obsessively check, refresh, or replay scenarios. Ask yourself, is this effort or anxiety? If it's anxiety, stop feeding it. 3. Replace control with confidence. Asterisk. Every time fear rises, remind yourself, I can handle whatever happens. That's confidence grounded in preparation. 4. Release through action. Asterisk. People think letting go is passive. It's not. You let go by doing your part responsibly and walking away calmly. That's how peace is earned. 5. Repeat the mantra. Asterisk. All day, whenever panic shows up. I manage effort, not outcomes. Say it until your nervous system starts to believe it. You have to trust that your consistency will produce the right outcome at the right time, even if you can't see it yet. When you let go of control, something powerful happens. You start living. You start breathing freely again. You start seeing lessons instead of losses. Peace replaces panic. Faith replaces fear. Flow replaces force. You stop fighting life and start cooperating with it. That's not lazy optimism. That's strategic surrender. The truth is, control was never a sign of strength. It was always a sign of insecurity, a desperate attempt to predict what can't be predicted. Strong people don't control everything, they control themselves. They adapt. They trust. They focus on action, not outcome. That's leadership. That's self-mastery. When you live this way, life feels lighter. You start noticing that things work out when you stop gripping them. Because peace doesn't need pushing, it needs permission. So here's your mantra to carry forward. I manage effort, not outcomes. Surrender is strength. Peace beats panic always. The more you trust process over panic, the calmer you become. The calmer you become, the clearer you think. The clearer you think, the smarter you move. That's how you win, not through force but through flow. Not through control but through consistency. Let go, breathe, and lead from trust. Because the next level isn't about demanding more from life. It's about directing what you already have toward the right focus. Which leads us to the next chapter, the discipline of focus itself. Because once you release control, you'll have clarity. And clarity needs direction. That's your power. Leading your energy toward what matters most. But remember, before direction comes detachment. Let go, then lead. That's the rhythm of mastery. Chapter 11, Patience is Power. Everybody says they want peace. Everybody says they want success. But nobody wants to wait. That's where most people fail. Not because they aren't capable, not because they don't have enough talent, but because they quit too soon. Impatience is the silent killer of progress. And here's the truth. Impatience isn't strength. It's emotional insecurity in disguise. It's fear pretending to be urgency. You chase results not because you're ambitious, but because you don't trust the process. You demand results right now because you don't believe that what you're doing will pay off later. That's what impatience really is. Mistrust in motion. And as long as you keep rushing what's meant to unfold, you'll keep sabotaging your own growth. Calm people win because they trust the process. That's not cliché. That's math. Peaceful thinkers make better decisions. Patient movers avoid desperate mistakes. They pivot strategically instead of emotionally, because patience isn't passive. Patience is precision. Patience is maturity. Patience is power disguised as pacing. You want to know what real strength looks like? It's holding your standard even when nothing around you confirms it's working. It's the ability to keep walking when progress is invisible. The sitting in the silence between effort and results, without panicking. You have a choice every day to trust the process or fight it. And the process always wins. Let's be honest. We live in a culture addicted to speed. Fast money, fast validation, fast results. We've been trained to confuse efficiency with excellence. But speed isn't success if it costs you stability. Speed builds noise. Patience builds roots. And roots always outlast rush. You've got to stop glorifying instant. Stop thinking that if it's not happening fast, it's not happening at all. Growth you can't see is still growth. Change you can't measure yet is still progress. Every delay refines you, not defines you. And that's what most people miss. Every pause is actually preparation. Life often withholds what you want until you're mature enough to handle it. The delay isn't denial, it's development. You can't plant a seed and demand fruit tomorrow. You can't build discipline today and expect transformation by Friday. You can't skip steps and still stay strong. Impatience makes you forget that time is the most powerful teacher you'll ever have. Time reveals what's real. Time tests what's weak. Time strengthens what's worth keeping. That's why impatience sabotages peace, because it tries to skip wisdom. The unbothered know this. They don't rush the grind. They don't beg the process to hurry up. They stay calm, consistent, and confident that their time is coming. They repeat one truth until it becomes instinct. Timing works for me, not against me, because when you understand that, patience becomes your weapon. Every day you practice patience, you build power. Why? Because patience is the opposite of panic. Calm people make decisions based on alignment, not anxiety. And peace gives clarity, clarity gives strength. You don't need to rush what's aligned. You just need to prepare while you wait. That's the difference between waiting passively and waiting powerfully. Passive waiting is boredom mixed with fear. Powerful waiting is preparation mixed with faith. Repeat that to yourself. Patience isn't waiting. It's preparing in peace. When you use the waiting season to refine your craft, strengthen your habits, and grow your mindset, the delay becomes your advantage. Because when opportunity finally shows up, you're ready, not reactive. Let's talk about discipline. Patience isn't just emotional, it's practical. You can't stay consistent at anything if you're obsessed with shortcuts. Shortcuts cost longevity. Fast success fades. Slow growth sticks. You don't become unshakable overnight. You become unshakable by showing up every day. Steady, focused, deliberate. even when it feels like nothing's moving. That's real emotional control. Doing what's right even when it doesn't feel rewarding yet. The impatient give up too early. The patient grow quietly and then show up suddenly. That's what patience does. It builds you in private so you can stand strong in public. You have to start viewing impatience as a test, not of your speed but of your stability. Impatience exposes your insecurity. Patience reveals your confidence. When you're impatient, you're loud. You're restless. You're frantic. When you're patient, you're silent. You're focused. You're grounded. The impatient act before they understand. The patient act once they're aligned. It's not that patient people wait. It's that they watch. They observe. They analyze. They prepare. They restrain emotion until it's time to strike. That's why calm wins more than chaos ever will. Because where the loud burn out, the calm build up. You've got to stop demanding timing to match your plans. Timing doesn't work for your impatience. It works for your preparation. You're not waiting on opportunity. Opportunity is waiting on you to be ready. And that readiness requires patience. Your path is not broken just because it's slower than you imagined. The delay might be saving you from the weight of success you're not yet conditioned to carry. Every disappointment, every not yet, every temporary shutdown, it's refining your character. Remember this, patience doesn't mean lack of action. It means no desperation in your action. You move strategically. You act with clarity. You're urgent about effort but relaxed about outcome. That's balance. Think of patience as long-term strength training. Every repetition of self-control thickens your emotional armor. Every silent not yet builds faith muscle. Every calm decision under pressure becomes proof that you're evolving. You stop reacting from emotion. You start responding from vision. You stop forcing timing. You start flowing with alignment. That's emotional maturity, and that's mastery. Start applying this practically. Here's how to train patience in action. 1. Delay gratification regularly. ***. Practice waiting on purpose. Don't eat immediately. Don't check instantly. Don't respond impulsively. Each pause trains your nervous system to slow down and think. 2. Replace frustration with focus. ***. When impatience rises, redirect that energy. Don't complain about delay. Commit to improvement during it. Ask yourself, how can I grow while I wait? 3. Watch your language. ***. Stop saying, it's taking too long. Start saying, I'm still becoming. The words you use either anchor impatience or fuel discipline. 4. Validate quiet progress. ***. Celebrate consistency instead of results. Because process wins before trophies do. 5. Keep the mantra close. ***. Timing works for me, not against me. Say it until your doubt gets tired of arguing. Here's the transformation waiting for you. When you stop rushing, you stop resenting. When you stop forcing, you stop breaking. When you stop demanding, you start receiving. That's how calm people win, not because they do less, but because they trust more. They understand that what they're building takes time, and time isn't their enemy. It's the silent architect of everything meaningful. Because every enduring result was built on unseen patience. What looks like waiting is actually forming. What feels like pause is actually preparation. Stay consistent long enough, and what once looked like delay will look like design. You just couldn't see it yet. The impatient mind lives in anxiety. It wants control. It wants certainty. It wants now. But the patient mind lives in alignment. It knows the difference between harvest time and planting season. You can't pick fruit in winter. You can't skip the grind in spring. Everything has a rhythm, and your calm is found in respecting that rhythm. You don't argue with seasons. You prepare for them. That's how wise people live. They understand what most people don't. Waiting isn't weakness. Waiting is wisdom, because patience is what separates those who start strong from those who stay strong. So remind yourself daily, impatience is emotional insecurity. Patience is calm strength. Timing is working for me, not against me. Say that every time you feel frustrated, lost, or stuck. Because you're not stuck, you're being strengthened. You're not behind, you're being built. Let that truth bring you peace in every delay. Every hour of patience builds a foundation that's unshakable. That's your power, the ability to keep calm while everyone else scatters. The ability to trust the unseen process more than your visible timeline. That's the mindset of the unbothered. That's the mark of mastery. Patience is power. When you learn that, time stops being your enemy and becomes your ally. You stop chasing, you start aligning. You stop doubting, you start building. You stop panicking, you start pacing. Because peaceful motion outlasts emotional speed every time. So hold the line. Trust the climb. Be patient in the process, but relentless in the work. Your story isn't delayed, it's developing. And as it unfolds, the next phase will teach you how to keep that focus steady. Because patience prepares you for precision, and precision is built through focus. Up next, focus as emotional discipline, how to guard attention like it's treasure. But for now, repeat it one last time with conviction. Timing works for me, not against me. Patience isn't waiting, it's preparing in peace. That's power, that's progress, and that's your next level of calm. Chapter 12, Build the Inner Fortress. You can't live in peace if your mind is open to every noise. You can't feel strong when everything around you has access to your attention, your emotions, and your energy. You want calm? You want clarity? You want lasting control? Then it's time to build your fortress. Not around you, within you, because the fortress is your mind. It's the structure that no one sees but everyone feels. It's the invisible foundation that protects your peace in a chaotic world. When your mind is fortified, no argument shakes you. No insult sticks. No disappointment derails you. You become untouchable, not because nothing happens, but because nothing penetrates. That's the power of the inner fortress. Let's be clear. The fortress isn't built overnight. It's not a motivational mindset. It's a practice. You build this fortress one brick at a time. Every day, every decision, every discipline. Self-awareness is the brick. Discipline is the mortar. You stack awareness of how you think, how you feel, how you react. Then you seal those bricks with discipline, the commitment to manage emotion instead of letting it rule you. You want to know what weakens most people. It's not lack of ability, it's porous boundaries. They let everything in. Every comment, every opinion, every piece of negativity leaks through because their fortress has cracks. And every leak costs energy. That's why you need structure. Structure keeps the walls solid. Structure is your daily blueprint for mental stability. You wake up with a plan, not panic. You schedule your priorities, not your distractions. You put discipline before emotion. You train your mind like a muscle through repetition. The fortress doesn't protect you from life. It prepares you for it. Every act of discipline is reinforcement. Every moment of silence is a brick. Every boundary held is a wall strengthened. Your mind either defends your peace or destroys it, depending on how you train it. Here's the truth. You can't control the outside world, but you can design the inner one. You have to start seeing yourself as the gatekeeper, not the victim. You decide what enters. You decide what stays. You decide what gets dismissed. That's self-mastery. The untrained mind treats every external event as personal. Takes everything in, like an open door in a thunderstorm. Then it wonders why it feels drenched in negativity. But the trained mind, the fortress mind, filters. It lets in lessons and shuts out chaos. It absorbs facts, not feelings. It observes pain, but doesn't adopt it. You have that level of control, but only if you start building deliberately. Say this to yourself. My peace lives behind walls only I can open. That's your reminder. You own the keys. Your peace isn't public property. Your calm isn't on lease. Your emotions aren't community real estate. You decide who gets access, and most people shouldn't. You don't need to explain your privacy. You don't need to defend your silence. Healthy isolation is not loneliness. It's strategy. Solitude is how you reinforce your foundation. Without solitude, you never hear your own thoughts long enough to understand them. You never detect the cracks forming in your walls until they collapse under pressure. You need time away from the crowd to reinforce the structure that guards your peace. Here's why most people crumble under stress. They rely on external calm. They depend on quiet environments, understanding people, and predictable outcomes to feel balanced. But the world doesn't owe you stability. If your calm depends on the environment, you'll lose it as soon as things get loud. The unbothered don't rely on external calm. They bring it with them. They walk into chaos and remain composed. They face insults, disrespect, adversity, and stay centered. That's inner armor. That's the fortress mindset. And it's built through intentional habits, daily structure, and a refusal to lower your standards, ever. Let's talk about those standards. Standards are the gates of your fortress. If your standards are weak, anything gets in. Every low-effort person, every energy leech, every distraction disguised as opportunity. The strong protect their standards because they understand that standards aren't arrogance, they're alignment. Your standards decide your energy level. They decide your focus and peace. You can't build a fortress mindset if you live with open gates. You have to say no more often. You have to stop explaining yes. You have to stop tolerating what drains you. That's not cold. That's controlled. You can love people and still outgrow them. You can forgive people and still exclude them. You can wish someone the best and still keep your distance. That's the mark of someone who has learned containment, how to guard their peace without guilt. If you want to build an inner fortress that can't be shaken, here's the blueprint. 1. Morning structure equals mental stability ***. Start every day by reinforcing your walls before the world touches you. Protect that first hour. No phone, no chaos. Silence, breath, clarity. Remind yourself, ***, I build my peace before the world tries to take it. ***. 2. Self-awareness checks equals brick inspections ***. Throughout your day, check yourself. How am I feeling right now? Is this emotion mine or borrowed from someone else? Self-awareness keeps cracks from spreading silently. 3. Solitude sessions equals reinforcement time ***. Schedule quiet. Don't wait for it. Solitude isn't escape, it's maintenance. This is where you rebuild what daily stress tries to erode. 4. Boundaries equals the gates stay closed ***. You don't open your gates for gossip, for chaos, or for emotional freeloaders. Peace requires protection. Every boundary you enforce adds another wall of reinforcement. 5. Discipline equals the lifelong construction crew ***. Discipline keeps the fortress standing even when motivation fails. Do the work even when you don't feel like it. Rest when required, but never collapse. Now, here's the mindset shift you need if you want this to last forever. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. You are responsible for managing the state of your own mind. You can't protect your peace while trying to fix everyone else's chaos. You can't build inner order while entertaining outer noise. This is your fortress, not a public rescue center. And don't mistake empathy for obligation. You can care deeply without caring constantly. Say it again. My peace lives behind walls only I can open. Your job isn't to make the world calm. Your job is to stay calm in the world. Let's talk about resilience, the reinforced steel of your fortress. Resilience is not pretending things don't hurt. It's feeling pain without letting it consume your perspective. It's experiencing loss without self-destruction. It's acknowledging disappointment, then rebuilding faster than you break. Every challenge strengthens your walls if you let it. Every rejection, every failure, every criticism adds another layer of inner protection if you choose learning instead of bitterness. That's how you fortify yourself. You keep refining instead of retreating. The world doesn't get softer. You get stronger. Your emotions stop ruling your reactions. Your peace stops depending on permission. And eventually you realize you've built a fortress so strong that even in chaos you feel calm. Let's make one thing clear. Building your fortress doesn't mean building walls around your heart. It means building structure around your energy. You can stay open yet protected. You can stay compassionate yet calculated. You can stay giving but within limits that don't drain you dry. Because calm isn't isolation. Calm is insulation. It's your mind's security system, and once you have it, no external storm can shake you. This is what the unbothered understand. They walk through fire with serenity not because life favors them, but because their foundation is fireproof. They don't crumble when life tests them because they trained for it. They built daily discipline, mental stillness, and self-awareness so strong that noise outside sounds like whispers inside. They don't rely on what the day gives them, they rely on what they built. That's your goal now, not to escape chaos, but to no longer be owned by it. Say it till it sinks in. My peace lives behind walls only I can open. I build my fortress daily with awareness, solitude, and standards. The unbothered bring calm with them. They don't search for it. Those are your affirmations, your blueprint, your bricks. This is how you become unshakable. This is how you lead with peace in a world of panic. This is how you transform pressure into presence. Your mind is your fortress. Defend it, strengthen it, reinforce it every single day. And as this fortress grows stronger, something special happens. Focus becomes effortless. Because when your inner world is silent, your direction becomes crystal clear. No noise, no distraction, only purpose. That's where we go next. Now that your peace is protected, your next step is to direct it, to guard your focus like your life depends on it. Because it does. But for now, stand tall inside your fortress. You built it. You own it. You live unbothered within it. Chapter 13. Let go of what you can't control. There are only two things you'll ever have full control over: your attitude and your actions. Everything else, people, timing, outcomes, weather, opinions, traffic, delays, emotions of others, that's outside your grip. But you keep reaching for it anyway. You keep trying to command everything around you, as if the world owes you predictability. It doesn't. The world isn't built to meet your expectations. It's built to test your adaptability. You can't master peace while trying to master people. You can't build calm in a world that doesn't move on your terms. You have to stop fighting for control of what was never yours to begin with. That's step one toward freedom. Because freedom begins where control ends. Control is a heavy addiction. Feels powerful, but it's a trap. You think you're protecting yourself from chaos. You think the more you organize, plan, and predict, the safer you'll feel. But control doesn't eliminate chaos, it amplifies anxiety. The tighter you squeeze, the faster things slip. You end up exhausted, frustrated, and disappointed. Not because life failed you, but because you failed to release life. The only way to find true stability is to remove your emotional need to control the uncontrollable. Say it out loud. I control my choices, not outcomes. That's your mantra now. Every time your mind tries to micromanage what's out of reach, repeat it until your breath slows. That's the key. Letting go is emotional maturity in motion. It's not weakness. It's wisdom. Because when you're constantly trying to force the world to obey your plan, what you're really saying is this: I don't trust myself to adapt. And that's fear talking. That's ego dressing up as strategy. But strong minds don't panic when plans change, they pivot. They don't chase certainty. They create confidence. You don't need to know how it'll work out. You just need to know you'll adjust when it doesn't. That's calm power. That's emotional stability disguised as faith. Letting go starts with acceptance. You don't fight reality, you work with it. You meet life on its terms, not yours. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. Stop trying to rewrite events you couldn't prevent. Stop replaying conversations you can't redo. Stop predicting outcomes that aren't here yet. That's wasted energy, and right now you need that energy to progress. When you accept reality as it is, your energy becomes available again. You stop being stuck in imaginary fights against what's already happened. Letting go is like unclenching a fist you didn't realize you'd been holding for years. It hurts at first, but then there's peace. Control what's internal, release what's external. That's the rule. If it's inside you, your focus, your effort, your honesty, your perspective, control it fully. If it's outside you, their attitude, their pace, their decisions, release it completely. This is how calm people operate. They don't stress over what they can't influence. They don't attach ego to outcomes. They simply play their role masterfully, then walk away without expectation. They know that peace belongs to those who stop arguing with what life decides. Repeat this to yourself daily. I control my choices, not outcomes. That's not resignation. It's realignment. You stop obsessing over results and start mastering your approach. When you master your approach, peace follows automatically. Look around. Everyone is addicted to control. We want to control how fast other people move. We want to control how others see us. We want to control timing, validation, results. But the more you try to control, the less you enjoy what is. Control kills presence. And presence is where peace lives. Stop trying to wrestle the unknown. Let it unfold. Your job isn't to dominate life. It's to dance with it. When you learn to release, you'll notice something powerful. Life starts flowing again. Because life never responds well to force, it responds to flow. Some of the worst stress in your life has come from trying to fix what wasn't yours to fix. You overextend yourself trying to manage outcomes, emotions, and situations that were never your responsibility. The weight isn't yours, but you carry it anyway. It's time to drop it. That doesn't make you careless. It makes you conscious. You're not built to carry every load. You're built to move with what's yours and trust that the rest will settle where it needs to. Repeat that until it lands. Asterisk, I am not responsible for everything I can't control. Asterisk, that's how you unlearn stress. Here's what control tries to do: eliminate uncertainty. But here's what life teaches: uncertainty will always exist. You don't end uncertainty by controlling, you end its grip by accepting it. You can't make time move faster. You can't make people stay. You can't make outcomes bend to your expectation. You can only control the quality of your effort and the quality of your emotional response. That's what separates frustration from freedom, clarity from confusion, resilience from restlessness. That's mastery, not the power to control, but the peace to release. Let's make this practical. Every time you feel stress or frustration building, stop and ask one question: is this within my control? If the answer is no, your next move is simple: release. Take a deep breath and redirect that energy into something within reach. Your tone, your body language, your next decision, your perspective. Keep repeating this until it becomes reflex. That one habit will save your peace 100 times a day. It's emotional triage. Focus on what you can fix. Accept what you can't. That's it. That's the entire secret. Some things will never make sense until years later, and that's okay. You don't have to understand everything to move forward. You just have to trust that release is part of realignment. The space you create by letting go will be filled by something better: clarity, calm, opportunity. But you'll never experience that peace if you're too busy holding on to tension. Control isn't security, it's suffocation. Letting go isn't giving up, it's giving yourself back to the moment. Say it again. Freedom begins where control ends. That's not philosophy, that's peace in practice. People often mistake surrender for weakness, but surrender isn't apathy, it's awareness. It's the strength to say, this no longer belongs to me. When you stop forcing outcomes, life starts revealing direction. You move from manipulation to momentum, from anxiety to flow, from doubt to discipline. Because when you let go, you free your hands and your mind to build what's actually yours. That's the law of focus. When you release external chaos, you regain internal control. You want a practical mental exercise? Every morning, visualize yourself standing in 2 circles. The inner circle is your control, choices, habits, self-talk, focus. Everything outside of that circle, people, timing, recognition, luck, is not yours. Your only goal: operate in the inner circle all day long. That's all you can own. That's all that ever mattered. Every time you drift outside, pull yourself back. Repeat: control what's internal, release what's external. This mindset builds emotional endurance. You stop wasting movement and your spirit conserves strength. That's where peace grows, inside the circle of control, surrounded by total faith in the rest. The world isn't here to please your plan. It's here to prepare your growth. Plans will change. People will disappoint. Opportunities will vanish. That's normal. That's life. But you adapt in silence. You don't broadcast frustration. You don't spiral into overthinking. You adjust. You move. You trust. That's leadership. That's composure. That's your new identity. Calm doesn't mean you don't feel pressure. Calm means pressure doesn't control your next move. You've learned how to lead your emotions. That's real control. So, the next time something spins out of your hands, good. Let it. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to manage it. You don't have to fix it. Because it was never yours anyway. Take the lesson, release the rest. Move with trust, not tension. When you stop trying to control everything, something incredible happens. Peace enters, timing aligns, and your focus finally has space to breathe. That's how true strength looks. Calm in uncertainty. You stop needing perfect conditions because you've built perfect control inside. Repeat these truths daily until they live in you. I control my choices, not outcomes. Freedom begins where control ends. I adapt in silence. Peace always finds me. I manage effort, not destiny. That's not just a mantra, that's maturity in motion. Because emotional freedom isn't about getting what you want. It's about being unshaken when you don't. You have a choice, always, to panic or to pivot, to grip or to grow, to force or to flow. Choose flow. Choose peace. Choose release. Letting go will not make life easier, but it will make you lighter. And lightness is what allows movement. You'll stop fighting, start flowing, and discover that peace was never something to find. It was something to unblock. That's the ultimate calm. And that calm sets up the next phase of mastery, taking that peace and turning it into performance. Learning to direct your energy with absolute focus and discipline, no matter how unpredictable life becomes. Because life won't stop testing you. But from now on, you'll never confuse what's outside your circle with what defines your power. Let go and lead from peace. Chapter 14. Embrace the boring work. Everyone wants transformation. Everyone talks about greatness, discipline, mental toughness, focus. But here's the truth no one likes to hear. It's boring. Real growth isn't shiny. It's not exciting. It's repetitive, quiet, consistent. Discipline is the most unglamorous path you'll ever walk. It's not thunder, it's a heartbeat, day after day. Small, steady, unremarkable steps that compound into power. That's the secret everyone's trying to skip. They want results without routine, progress without patience. They want greatness without the grind that builds it. But you don't become unbothered overnight. You become unbothered through every silent repetition. When no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when no one cares but you. That's where transformation actually lives. And if you can learn to embrace the boring work instead of resisting it, you become unstoppable. Let's get brutally honest. Emotion loves novelty. It wants something new, exciting, different. Emotion feeds on dopamine, not discipline. But stability, that silent repetition, that's what builds greatness. It's what keeps you steady when emotion fades. You can't rely on excitement to perform. You have to build systems that work even when motivation doesn't show up. That's maturity. That's mastery. Because here's the truth. Consistency beats intensity every single time. It's not the massive effort once in a while. It's the quiet effort every day, even when it feels boring. That's the key. Growth doesn't happen when you feel inspired. Growth happens when you're tired, distracted, restless, and you still keep your promise to yourself. You can measure someone's future not by their ambition, but by their ability to repeat basics for years. Repetition refines you. Repetition simplifies you. Repetition grounds you. The emotionally unstable crave variety because they can't sit long enough to build mastery. The emotionally disciplined crave progress, even when it's slow, even when it looks plain. That's the difference between amateurs and masters. Amateurs chase feeling. Masters chase growth. And growth, real growth, always looks repetitive before it looks remarkable. Most people quit the second the process stops feeling exciting. That's why they stay stuck in cycles. They jump from strategy to strategy, idea to idea, relationship to relationship, searching for stimulation they mistake for progress. You know what that is? Mental chaos disguised as ambition. You don't need more excitement. You need more endurance. You don't need better ideas. You need better focus. You don't need new results. You need more repetitions. That's the truth. That's discipline. Discipline is quiet. Growth is repetitive. Calm is built in routine. Repeat that until it lives in you. Because once you internalize it, boredom stops being the enemy. It becomes the signal that you're doing it right. Let's redefine boring. Boring isn't failure, it's progress in disguise. Boring means you've stopped living by emotional highs and started living by principles. Boring means routine is doing its job. Stabilizing your mind, strengthening your habits, building your foundation. You can't become extraordinary by constantly needing life to excite you. You become extraordinary when you bring excellence to ordinary moments. When you show up for yourself again and again and again. That's what separates emotional addicts from emotional adults. And that's where calm starts living, inside your consistency. Grind without noise. Don't announce, don't perform, don't explain. Just do the work, over and over, silently, because transformation doesn't happen in public. It happens when you're alone, choosing discipline instead of distraction. Every rep you don't post counts twice. Every moment you choose focus instead of validation adds to your foundation. That's how real change builds, quietly. No one celebrates the work you do at 5 a.m. No one sees the mental reps you do when no one claps. But that's the work that saves you. That's the work that makes you unbothered. Think of your progress like a brick wall. Every action is one brick. You can't build anything meaningful by laying 100 random bricks in different directions. You build it by laying one brick in the same place every day. People will call it boring. It's not. It's brilliance disguised as routine. Brick by brick, habit by habit, you create stability no one can shake. And it stays invisible right up until it doesn't. Right up until the day your consistency shows up as confidence, clarity, and calm. People will call it luck. You'll know it was layers of boring work stacked over years. That's the real grind, quiet, controlled, consistent. Here's where you go wrong. You confuse movement for progress. You chase adrenaline. You chase new plans. You chase variety because you think boredom means stagnation. But movement isn't mastery. If you're constantly switching directions, you'll never build momentum. Focus beats frenzy. You don't need to do everything. You need to do the right few things relentlessly. Because slow progress done consistently beats fast progress done emotionally every single time. You have to fall in love with the mundane if you want to build something legendary. You have to normalize repetition, ending your day with small wins, showing up when it's inconvenient, doing your morning routine when no one cares. You have to realize, success isn't built by bursts of emotion. It's built by boring consistency. Every rep compounds. Every repetition matters. Every decision to stay steady builds proof that your calm is real, not conditional. That's the difference between people who maintain growth and people who chase it forever. Let me say this directly. If you can stay disciplined when it's dull, you'll dominate when it's difficult. The boring seasons prepare you for the storm seasons. The boring work builds mental structure for chaos later. When you learn to focus while nothing's happening, you'll be unstoppable when everything starts happening. So stop disrespecting routine. Every repetition of calm work is you building readiness. It's strength training for your mind. Day after day, the quiet grind shapes your character. Not fast, not flashy, but certain. No drama, just progress. That's the phrase you live by now. Say it every day until your brain learns to love simplicity. Small, steady steps. No drama, just progress. You don't need perfect routines. You need consistent ones. Stop chasing fancy plans you can't sustain. Start with what you can do daily. Simple always beats sophisticated. Simple systems, water, sleep, Movement, focus, repetition create strong minds. If your routine doesn't feel boring, you're not doing it long enough. That's how you measure maturity, by how long you can do what's necessary without needing constant reward. Let's get even more practical. You want to know how to train yourself to love the boring work? Here's the approach. 1. Schedule repetition, not emotion. ***. You don't feel ready. You schedule readiness. Show up because it's time, not because you're inspired. 2. Shrink the goal. ***. Break it. Simplify it. Make it dumb-proof. Because consistency depends on simplicity. 3. Track the doing, not the dopamine. ***. Don't chase the high. Chase the habit. You'll feel unstoppable once your brain learns that progress doesn't need applause. 4. Honor the invisible days. ***. Some days nothing moves. That's fine. This is where patience earns its paycheck. You're still building even if you can't see it yet. 5. Repeat your mantra ***. Small steady steps. No drama, just progress. That's your mental rhythm now. Quiet motion, constant growth. Boring work is what separates those who get better from those who just talk about getting better. Because talk feels exciting, but action is plain. You don't need intensity. You need endurance. You don't need passion every day. You need principles that guide you regardless of mood. It's not your emotions that prove discipline. It's your execution when emotions disappear. Do it when it's dull. Do it when it's loud. Do it until it becomes your nature. That's the secret no one can hack, automate, or skip. Because once you've mastered the boring, you've mastered yourself. You've built stability. You've built a rhythm stronger than motivation. You've built calm power, the kind that doesn't wobble even when life does. The unbothered are consistent, not conditional. They don't need applause. They don't need adrenaline. They just show up every single day, like clockwork. They understand something others don't. If you can do the boring work with excellence, you can do anything. Because consistency is confidence. The more you prove to yourself that you can keep showing up, the easier it becomes to trust yourself. And that trust, that's how peace becomes permanent. So remember this as you move forward. Discipline is quiet. Growth is repetitive. Calm is built in routine. You don't get to skip the boring work and still have extraordinary results. You build momentum precisely where it looks like nothing's happening. That's your edge. That's your insulation against chaos. That's your next level of strength. Repeat it again. Small, steady steps. No drama, just progress. Every small step builds the foundation for massive focus. And that leads to the next evolution of your mindset, turning all this calm discipline into laser direction. Because calm without direction is wasted power. Next, we're going to turn that focus into a weapon. You've built endurance. Now you'll learn how to aim it. But first, stay steady. Stay boring. Stay unstoppable. Chapter 15. Lead with steady power. Everyone wants to lead until they realize what leadership really costs. It's not popularity. It's not applause. It's not being the loudest person in the room. Real leadership begins when composure replaces reaction. Because anyone can lead when everything's easy, but the true test shows up when chaos does. That's when people look around, searching for the one who's not panicking. That's when calm becomes currency. That's when your stillness becomes everyone else's stability. You don't lead through noise. You lead through presence. And presence is built through control. You want to know why steady power commands respect? Because it's rare. Most people live in emotional highs and lows, reactive, erratic, unpredictable. They're loud in confidence and silent in crisis. They follow emotion instead of direction. But leaders don't chase emotion. They set tone. They hold steady so everyone else can realign. You see, people don't trust passion as much as they trust presence. Passion can be impulsive. Presence builds credibility. Your team, your family, your circle, they don't need hype from you. They need stability. They need your energy to tell them, we're fine. Let's keep moving. That's why emotional control isn't optional for leadership. It's the foundation. Leadership starts with mastering energy distribution. You can't complain in chaos and expect people to feel confident following you. You can't let emotion dictate how you treat others when pressure hits. Because if you crumble, they crumble. If you panic, they panic. Leadership is energy transfer. Your state becomes theirs. That's why you have to be composed long before you're tested. You train patience when no one's watching. You train calm through your habits, your tone, your silence. Then, when life hits, composure comes naturally. Your response becomes their reassurance. Repeat this until it's engraved in your thinking. My calm creates certainty for others. That's the key to steady power. You can't lead effectively if you need validation. Leaders move from conviction, not consensus. They focus on principle, not approval. You have to stop chasing agreement before making decisions. Because leadership will often mean standing alone, not coldly but clearly. And clarity looks like rebellion to people addicted to chaos. Let them think that you're not here to be liked. You're here to create direction. A leader doesn't echo noise, they filter it. They cut through emotion, see the core issue, and make the hard call. That's not arrogance, that's discipline in action. You're not controlling people. You're controlling yourself so others find balance through you. That's what steady power truly is. Power that influences quietly, without coercion, just by existing with consistency. Consistency builds credibility, and credibility outweighs charisma every single time. People might be impressed by your excitement for a moment, but they'll trust your steadiness for a lifetime. Because consistency communicates safety. The unbothered lead this way, quietly, confidently, powerfully. They don't get louder when they're challenged. They get sharper. They don't shake when things go sideways. They get still, because they've trained their emotions to serve their mission, not sabotage it. That's what creates influence. Not performance, but presence. Let's talk about tone. Tone is leadership's hidden language. It's not what you say, it's the temperature you set when you say it. When chaos rises, you lower your tone. When tempers flare, you slow your speech. When fear spreads, you walk slower, breathe deeper, move with calm. People will match your energy. If you lead with calm, they'll follow your composure. If you lead with chaos, they'll follow your panic. Your tone sets the direction of the entire environment. That's why leadership is emotional management disguised as communication. You'll know you're truly leading by how people feel when you speak, not by how loudly you talk. The goal isn't to excite people into motion, it's to anchor them into confidence. You have to understand something about emotional leadership. People follow stability, not superiority. They're not drawn to who knows the most, they're drawn to who's the most balanced. Because balance gives weight to words. Balance earns trust. When you're steady, people stop second-guessing themselves. Your silence becomes authority. The loud demand attention. The calm command it. That's what steady power means. Still on the outside, unshakable on the inside. You don't have to prove control, you embody it. You don't have to fight for influence, you live it. Because once you've mastered your emotions, no one else gets to steer them. Calm doesn't mean passive. Don't confuse steady for soft. Controlled power always beats chaotic strength. Anyone can yell. Anyone can force. But the one who pauses, thinks, and then acts with precision, that's the one who wins every time. Because patience allows awareness. And awareness allows advantage. The steady see what the frantic always miss. They operate on signal, not noise. They play the long game while everyone else burns out in the short term. That's influence. That's craftsmanship. That's true leadership. Let's make this actionable. Here's how you start leading with steady power, practically, daily. 1. Keep your tone stable, not reactive. ***. Speak with intention, not emotion. The moment you raise your voice, you lose your influence. Stay measured, people will mirror your calm. 2. Don't chase quick reassurance. ***. You don't need instant agreement. Delay emotional decisions until clarity returns. Uncertainty doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. 3. Listen more than you respond. ***. In times of tension, silence earns respect. Calm people don't interrupt chaos, they absorb it, then redirect it. 4. Choose response over reaction. ***. A leader's pause can de-escalate a storm. Your delay creates direction. 5. Maintain consistent presence. ***. Be predictable in pressure. When people can count on your mood, they'll trust your message. These may sound simple, but simple disciplines build invincible leadership. You have to remind yourself constantly, leadership isn't about being in charge. It's about taking charge of yourself. That's your job. Manage your state, so others can trust their own. You've learned by now, your emotions either lead you or you lead them. Control them once and you control the room. That's how calm creates clarity. That's how presence builds power. And make no mistake, it's not easy. You'll be tested 100 times a day. People will provoke you. Situations will push you. Things will break. Plans will fail. And in those moments, you'll think, I have to act now. No, you have to breathe now. Because breath is what brings composure back. Composure realigns control. And control rebuilds leadership. You have to accept that being steady sometimes means being misunderstood. People who haven't mastered their own emotions will label your calm as cold. They'll misinterpret discipline as detachment. Let them. Your job isn't to cater to noise. It's to lead through it. You're not here to react to emotions, you're here to realign them. Leadership is lonely at times because not everyone can handle your silence, your consistency, your patience. But that's the price of stability. Isolation is often the rent for peace. Leaders lead alone long before they're followed publicly. Repeat it again, slowly. My calm creates certainty for others. That's your mantra. That's how you move. When tempers flare, be the breath. When emotions erupt, be the anchor. When people doubt, be the direction. Never let the situation dictate your tone. Let your tone dictate the situation. That's steady power, subtle, strategic, sovereign. The loud crumble first. The calm endure longest. Be the one people trust not because you speak the most, but because you react the least. People follow those who don't flinch. Remember, power isn't in proving, it's in projecting. Project quiet control. Project stable confidence. Project certainty even when outcomes change. You don't lead from emotion, you lead from equilibrium. That's true authority. Controlled energy, delivered consistently. You have a choice every single day, to respond or to react. To lead with influence or leak energy through frustration. To inspire trust or to inflate chaos. Choose calm. Choose steadiness. Choose composure. That's leadership at its highest form, self-leadership radiating outward. The unbothered don't chase followers. They create stability so powerful that people align naturally. That's the final level of emotional mastery. Being the peace that organizes chaos. You are the tone setter. You are the anchor. You are the fortress of reason when things fall apart. Led with steady power. Because people will forget what you say, but they'll never forget how your calm made them feel safe when everything felt uncertain. That's leadership. Steady, subtle, strong. And it connects directly to the next level, learning to maintain this calm long-term. Building resilience that doesn't break under pressure, creating leadership stamina through consistency. Because leadership without resilience is temporary. Next, we'll go deeper into that, how to sustain strength quietly while the world demands more from you. For now, remember the truth. My calm creates certainty for others. Led from there and everything else follows. Closing. This is your reminder. You are not obligated to attend every argument, match every emotion, or explain every piece you keep. The world will always try to rattle you. Don't give it the pleasure. To master life, you must first master calm. Be deliberate. Be steady. Be unbothered. Move through chaos with grace. Walk through noise with silence. Because true strength isn't loud, it's controlled. And from this point on, you are the calm in every storm.